Hell has many names across the multiverse. In some realities, it's a dimension of eternal fire ruled by demons with names like Baphomet and Beelzebub. In others, it's a psychological state, the absence of grace, the pit where hope goes to die. On Apokolips, hell isn't a place you go when you die. It's where you live, where you suffer, where Darkseid's omega symbols burn into your soul until you forget what freedom even meant. But the Doomslayer knows a different hell. The real one. The original. The dimension of endless torment where demons feast on human suffering and reality itself screams in agony. He's walked through its circles for eons, destroyed its armies, killed its gods, and emerged not broken, but sharpened into a blade of pure, unending rage. Hell didn't break him. Hell learned to fear him. The UAC scientists thought they could control it. They always do. Deep in their Mars facility, they tore open another portal, thinking they'd mastered the technology, thinking they understood the mathematics of dimensional barriers. They were wrong. The portal didn't just open to hell, it intersected with something else, something equally terrible but infinitely more sophisticated. A boom tube network. Apokolips's method of bridging reality itself. For one impossible moment, hell touched Apokolips. And the Doomslayer, pursuing a hell baron through the Kattingir sanctum, was caught in the dimensional collision. The sensation is like being torn apart and rebuilt in the same instant. The Slayer doesn't scream, he never screams, but reality fractures around him in ways that would drive mortals insane. Colors that don't exist, sounds that predate the universe, the smell of sulfur mixing with industrial toxins. Then impact. He crashes into Apokolips fire pits with force that would pulverize normal humans, armor-absorbing damage that would destroy tanks. The Praetor suit, forged in Hell's own fires, blessed by the Seraphim, worn by a warrior who has killed literal gods, takes the impact without complaint. Its heads-up display flickers once, recalibrating to new atmospheric conditions, then stabilizes. The Doomslayer rises to his feet in a lake of molten industrial waste. His visor scans the environment with practiced efficiency. Fire, sulfur, screaming machinery. Slaves in chains working furnaces that burn hot enough to forge the impossible. Massive towers carved with symbols he doesn't recognize but instinctively hates. Omega marks that reek of tyranny and oppression. The sky is red. Everything is red. Smoke and ash choke the air. It looks like hell. More importantly, it feels like hell. The same oppression, the same suffering, the same fundamental wrongness that makes his trigger finger itch and his super shotgun practically beg to be fired. And then he sees them. Parademons swarm overhead, dozens of them, insectoid wings buzzing, grotesque humanoid bodies twisted by genetic engineering, energy weapons charging. To anyone else, they'd look like alien bioweapons, products of advanced but cruel technology. To the Doomslayer, they look like demons. That's all the information he needs. The first parademon that dive bombs him learns what happens when Hell's greatest predator finds new prey. The Slayer doesn't dodge. Dodging is for people who fear damage. He simply reaches up as it swoops past, grabs its wing with armored gauntlets strong enough to rend steel, and tears. The wing comes off. The parademon shrieks. He grabs its throat with his other hand and rips its head clean off in a spray of black ichor. Health indicator on his HUD ticks up slightly. Ammunition counter increases. Glory kill confirmed. A savage grin would cross his face if anyone could see through the visor. The mechanics work here. These things, whatever they are, provide resources when killed brutally. Just like demons. Just like everything he's spent eons destroying. The super shotgun appears in his hands like it was always there, materializing from the Praetor suit's weapon storage with practiced ease. He doesn't aim carefully. Aiming is for snipers and cowards. He points and fires. The double-barreled blast catches 3 parademons in mid-flight, reducing them to chunks of meat and chitin. More swarm toward him. 10, 20, 50. The fire pit guards have noticed the intruder. Slave workers scatter, screaming, chains jangling. The Slayer doesn't care about them. His focus is total, absolute, locked on the target swarming overhead. He switches to the heavy assault rifle, Finger locked on the trigger, precision bolt modification active. Energy rounds punch through Parademon armor like it's tissue paper. They die in droves, falling from the sky like rain. Black blood pools around his boots. One manages to land a hit, energy weapon bolt catching his shoulder. The Praetor suit's shields absorb it without issue. The armor has survived plasma fire from Hell Knights, energy weapons from Archviles, and the screaming void of hell itself. Whatever these creatures are using, it's not enough. The Slayer advances through the fire pits, a walking apocalypse. Every step leaves a corpse. Every trigger pull ends a life. He's not tactical, he's inevitable. Parademons try to flank him. He spin kicks one into molten metal, grabs another mid-flight, and uses it as a club to beat 3 more to death before discarding the twitching corpse. 90 seconds after arriving on Apokolips, he's killed over 100 Parademons. The slave workers watch from behind overturned machinery, their alien faces showing emotions that transcend species: shock, awe, terror, hope. This armored figure isn't fighting like a soldier. He's fighting like a natural disaster, like violence given form and purpose, like something that exists only to kill. They whisper in their various languages, but the meaning is universal. What is that thing? In the monitoring stations overlooking the fire pits, alarm klaxons blare. Darkseid's overseers watch surveillance feeds with growing concern. The armored intruder's energy signature is impossible to classify, part technological, part supernatural, entirely hostile. Weapons that shouldn't exist in this universe tear through Parademon forces designed to conquer planets. One overseer reaches for the communication array. Alert Granny Goodness. We have a Code Omega intruder in Fire Pit Sector 7. Parademon casualties exceeding 200 and climbing. Entity is... The Doomslayer appears on the monitor, firing his rocket launcher point-blank into a Parademon cluster. The explosion is beautiful in its violence, bodies and metal vaporizing in the blast. Extremely hostile, the Overseer finishes weakly. The Slayer doesn't hear the alarms, doesn't care about the surveillance, doesn't consider that he might be outnumbered, outgunned, or facing forces he doesn't understand. His entire existence has been refined to a single purpose through eons of warfare. Find demons, kill demons, repeat until there are no demons left. And this place is full of demons. He switches to the ballista, the Argent energy weapon charging with a whine that makes nearby machinery short out. The bolt he fires punches through 5 Parademons in a line, the energy discharge cooking them from the inside out. Beautiful, efficient, satisfying. A larger figure appears in the smoke, one of the Parademon elite commanders, wearing heavier armor, carrying a plasma cannon. It aims at the Slayer, mandibles clicking out what might be a challenge or a threat. The Doomslayer pulls out his chainsaw. The elite's eyes widen, a universal expression of, oh no. The chainsaw roars to life, teeth spinning faster than sound, and the Slayer charges. The elite fires. Plasma bolts splash against the Praetor suit's shields. Not enough. Never enough. The Slayer crashes into it, chainsaw biting through armor, through flesh, through bone. Fuel gauge on his HUD empties as the chainsaw does its work, but his ammunition counters max out completely. The elite falls in pieces, and the Slayer is fully stocked again. Infinite sustainability through infinite violence, just like home. In the distance, boom tubes begin opening. Reinforcements, more targets. The Slayer's heads-up display tags them. 50 incoming signatures, then 100, then 200. Apokolips is mobilizing to crush the intruder. Anyone else would retreat. Anyone else would look for cover, call for backup, formulate strategy. The Doomslayer loads a fresh shell into his super shotgun and advances toward the incoming horde. Because that's what he does. That's all he does. That's all he'll ever do. Rip and tear until it is done. Behind him, a slave worker, three-eyed, emaciated, covered in burned scars, watches the armored demon walk towards certain death against overwhelming odds. And for the first time in 60 cycles of bondage on Apokolips, Kraz feels something he thought was beaten out of him forever. Not hope. Nothing as fragile as hope. He feels the possibility that his oppressors can bleed, The Doomslayer doesn't know he's inspiring anyone, doesn't care. His entire being is focused on the swarm of enemies ahead, on the violence to come, on the eternal war that is his existence. Apokolips has never encountered anything like him. Hell's other dimensions have spawned countless horrors, but this is something new. Not a demon, not a hero. Something in between, or beyond, or outside the categories that define such things. This is rage made manifest. This is violence purified to its essence. This is what happens when you take everything from someone, throw them into infinite torment, and they emerge not broken, but sharpened. This is the Doomslayer, and Apokolips is about to learn what hell already knows. When he arrives, all you can do is die. The fire pits burn brighter as the battle intensifies, and somewhere in his throne room, high above, Darkseid's eyes narrow with interest. Something unexpected has entered his perfect order. Something that kills with an efficiency that even impresses the Lord of Apokolips. The eternal war between Apokolips and New Genesis has gained an unpredicted variable, and variables, Darkseid knows, must be controlled or crushed. The Doomslayer doesn't count kills. Counting implies limits, implies an endpoint, implies the possibility of running out of things to destroy. He simply kills until there's nothing left to kill, and then he finds more things to kill. It's a philosophy that has served him well across eons of warfare in Hell's infinite depths. 300 parademons learn this philosophy in the next 4 minutes. The swarm descends on him like a living avalanche of chitin and rage, energy weapons blazing, claws extended, mandibles shrieking in their alien language. Tactical doctrine would suggest finding cover, establishing a defensive position, using the environment to create choke points. The Doomslayer's tactical doctrine is simpler. Meet them head-on and kill faster than they can replace their numbers. He pulls out the BFG 9000. The weapon hums to life, its energy core drawing from reserves of argent power that would overload any normal technology. Green plasma begins to coalesce in the firing chamber, building to critical mass. The Slayer doesn't aim at a specific target. The BFG doesn't work that way. You aim it at a general area full of things you hate, and it solves the problem. He fires. The ball of green plasma launches forth like a miniature sun, arcing through the air toward the parademon swarm. Tendrils of energy lance out from the main mass, seeking targets with malevolent intelligence, tracking heat signatures and bioelectric fields. Each tendril finds a parademon. Each tendril kills instantly, overloading nervous systems and cooking organs from the inside out. The main plasma ball detonates in the center of the swarm. 40 parademons cease to exist in a flash of green fire. The shock wave knocks another 20 from the sky. The Slayer's kill counter would be impressive if he bothered to check it. He doesn't. He's already moving, already switched to the super shotgun, already killing the survivors. A parademon staggers toward him, half its body charred from the BFG blast. The Slayer grabs it by the skull, lifts it overhead, and slams it into the ground with enough force to crater the industrial steel beneath them. Glory kill, health up, ammunition up. The cycle continues. Above the fire pits, in a monitoring station that overlooks Sector 7, Darkseid watches the carnage with instruments that hum and click as they record data. The ancient scientist's face shows no emotion, but his fingers move rapidly across holographic controls, analyzing every aspect of the intruder. Fascinating, he murmurs to the empty room. His voice is cultured, almost gentle, completely at odds with the violence displayed on his screens. Energy signature, unlike anything in our databases. Technological components, yes, but also something else. Something that tastes of sulfur and eternal torment. This creature has been touched by forces beyond our normal dimensional parameters. He zooms in on the Slayer's Praetor suit, running material analysis. The armor refuses to classify properly. His instruments suggest it's simultaneously metal, ceramic, organic tissue, and something that shouldn't exist in baseline reality. Armor composition impossible. Energy shield technology cruder than Motherbox derivatives, but somehow more resilient. And the weapons? Darkseid replays footage of the BFG discharge, slowing it down, analyzing the energy tendrils frame by frame. Argent energy, not omega energy, Not source energy, but something parallel, perhaps even older. His thin fingers steepled together. I must have this specimen. Lord Darkseid will want to study what created such a perfect engine of destruction. He activates the communication array. Granny goodness, are you receiving? Static. Then a voice like honey poured over razors. I'm watching, Darkseid. The intruder has killed 400 of my parademons in 6 minutes. Either this is the most skilled warrior to ever grace Apokolips, or it's something that doesn't think like we do. Possibly both. I want it alive for study. You always do. Granny's laugh carries no warmth. But this one won't break easily. Look at how it fights. No fear, no hesitation, no self-preservation instinct. It's like watching pure violence given form. Beautiful in its way. My Furies will enjoy testing it. Deploy them carefully. I need intact specimens of its technology, and ideally the creature itself. Careful, Granny muses. Yes, I'll be careful. But Darkseid, if it proves too dangerous to capture alive, I'm authorized to terminate, correct? Darkseid watches the Slayer tear through another Parademon squad, literally ripping them apart with his bare hands when his chainsaw runs out of fuel. Yes, though I suspect termination may prove more difficult than capture. This thing has survived worse than Apokolips, I think. Much worse. The Doomslayer notices the change in tactics before the Parademons themselves do. The swarms stop coming in mindless waves and start coordinating, flanking patterns, suppressing fire, one group pinning while another moves. Basic tactics, the kind that suggests intelligence behind the assault rather than blind aggression. He doesn't care. Tactics are for people who can be outmaneuvered. He simply adjusts his kill pattern and continues forward. Rocket launcher out. Lock-on burst mode activated. 6 rockets launch simultaneously, tracking 6 different Parademon squad leaders. The explosions chain together beautifully, secondary detonations catching the coordinating forces before they can scatter. The tactical improvement disappears in fire and shrapnel. The Slayer doesn't smile. His face hasn't shown expression in eons, but there's satisfaction in the efficiency. Good kills, clean kills, kills that create space for more kills. He's advanced 3 miles into Apokolips's industrial sector now, leaving a trail of destruction that looks like a war zone. Fires burn in his wake, structures collapse. Parademon corpses litter the landscape in numbers that would horrify anyone with a functioning conscience. The Doomslayer doesn't have a conscience. That got burned out of him somewhere in Hell's earlier circles, back when he was still partially human, still capable of feeling things other than rage. Now there's only the mission: kill demons. These things look like demons, smell like demons, die like demons. Therefore, they are demons. The logic is flawless in its simplicity. He enters what appears to be a parademon breeding facility, massive vats of genetic material, cloning chambers, industrial assembly lines producing soldiers by the thousands. The sight would disturb most warriors, the recognition that they're facing an enemy that can literally manufacture infinite reinforcements. The Slayer sees targets, lots of targets, vulnerable targets. The BFG comes out again, 3 shots, 3 massive detonations. The breeding facility becomes an inferno of green plasma and exploding cloning vats. Genetic material designed to create thousands of parademons burns in argent fire. The industrial assembly lines melt into slag. The entire operation, decades of genetic engineering, billions in resources, reduced to ashes in 30 seconds. Somewhere in the facility, a final parademon emerges from a cloning chamber, freshly decanted, bioweapons already grafted to its arms. It sees the armored figure silhouetted against the fires, sees the weapon pointed its direction, has just enough time to process that it was born at exactly the wrong moment. The Slayer fires. The Parademon's entire existence lasts 4 seconds from birth to death. Efficient, Darkseid murmurs from his monitoring station, instruments clicking faster. No wasted movement, no hesitation. It processes threats and eliminates them with mechanical precision. But there's something underneath, something that drives it beyond mere programming or training. What are you, little monster? What made you into this? The Slayer exits the burning facility and finds himself in an open courtyard, some kind of staging area where Parademon battalions gather before deployment. Hundreds of them, arranged in formation, weapons ready. Behind them, three massive walkers armed with plasma cannons that could level buildings. Most warriors would reassess, would look for alternate routes, would recognize this as a kill box designed to overwhelm through superior firepower. The Doomslayer loads his super shotgun and charges directly into the center of the formation. What follows isn't a battle. It's a masterclass in controlled violence. He moves through the Parademon ranks like a force of nature. Every motion precise, every kill feeding into the next. Super shotgun blast, glory kill, switch to ballista, precision shot through three skulls, chainsaw a heavy unit for ammunition, rocket launcher, the walker legs, BFG, the survivors, repeat. The walkers fall. Their pilots die screaming. The Parademon formation collapses into chaos as their command structure disintegrates under the Slayer's assault. They try to retreat, basic survival instinct finally overriding their programming. But retreat just means they die tired. 2 minutes later, the courtyard is silent except for the crackle of fires and the wet sounds of cooling corpses. The Slayer stands in the center of it all, armor splattered with ichor, ammunition counters full from glory kills. Health at maximum. His heads-up display identifies a staircase leading up toward the towers, toward the heart of this place, toward more enemies. He starts walking. He doesn't rest, doesn't need to. The Praetor suit recycles his waste, provides nutrition through molecular conversion, keeps him operational indefinitely. He is a perpetual motion machine of violence, and he'll keep moving until there's nothing left to kill. Above him, boom tubes open. Not just parademons this time, elite units, the Furies themselves. Lashina materializes in a crackle of Omega energy, her whips already coiling. Mad Harriet appears beside her, razor talons extended, shrieking with berserker glee. Stampa's massive form shakes the ground with her landing, and Bernadette, silent and deadly, takes position with poisoned knives gleaming. The four Furies spread out, professional, coordinated, deadly. They've fought Superman to a standstill. They've wounded Wonder Woman. They've never failed a capture mission for Granny Goodness. They look at the armored figure covered in Parademon blood, surrounded by hundreds of corpses, still advancing toward them without hesitation. Lashina's eyes narrow. That's it? That's the intruder who's killed 600 of our forces? It's just one warrior in crude armor? Mad Harriet giggles, the sound wrong and broken. Don't underestimate. Look at the eyes, look through the visor. There's nothing in there but hate. The Doomslayer stops. Not because he's threatened, not because he's reconsidering, but because his targeting system has identified 4 new demons. Bigger demons, stronger demons, better kills. The super shotgun pumps once. The sound echoes across the courtyard like a promise. Lashina cracks her whip. Granny wants you alive, monster. Try to make this... The Slayer fires both barrels directly into her face. She moves faster than the shot, her whip deflecting the spread, but the message is clear. He doesn't care what Granny wants. He doesn't care who they are. He doesn't care about anything except the next kill. The Furies attack in perfect coordination, centuries of training evident in every movement. Against any normal warrior, even enhanced ones, the battle would last seconds. Against the Doomslayer, it lasts minutes. And for the first time in their long service to Darkseid, the Furies learn what it feels like to be prey. Mad Harriet is the first to draw blood, and it costs her 3 fingers. She comes in from the left with berserker speed, razor talons extended, aiming for the gaps in the Slayer's armor. It's a move that's disemboweled Kryptonians, that's carved through new god flesh, that's never failed against armored opponents. The talons find their mark, shoulder joint, neck seal, and neurotoxin floods into the wounds. The Doomslayer doesn't slow down. His reaction is instantaneous. Grab her wrist, twist with force that shatters bone, reverse the momentum, and slam her into the ground hard enough to crater concrete. She's still shrieking with mad laughter when his armored boot comes down on her hand. Crunch. 3 talons and the fingers attached to them separate from her body. Mad Harriet's laughter turns to screaming. Real screaming. Not the performative madness she usually affects, but genuine pain and shock. She rolls away, cradling her maimed hand, and for the first time in centuries, her eyes show something other than insanity: fear. Stampa charges while the Slayer is focused on Harriet. 8 feet of muscle and rage, fists like wrecking balls, strength sufficient to match Superman in raw power. She swings with enough force to pulverize a tank. The Slayer doesn't dodge. He blocks with his left arm, armor servos screaming under the impact, then drives his right fist directly into her solar plexus. The punch would kill a normal human. It staggers Stampa. She stumbles back, genuinely surprised. Nothing blocks her strikes. Nothing hits her hard enough to hurt. But this armored thing just traded blows with her and came out ahead. Bernadette sees the opening and takes it, moving with surgical precision. Her knives are coated with poisons that ignore conventional biology, toxins designed to kill gods. She slides in behind the Slayer while he's engaged with Stampa, blades seeking kidney, liver, spine. Killing strikes learned through millennia of assassination. The Praetor suit's energy shield flares. The knives skitter off the barrier, unable to penetrate. Bernadette's eyes widen. Her poisons work on contact, but there is no contact, just energy that refuses her blades. The Slayer spins, faster than something his size should move, and his gauntleted hand catches Bernadette's throat. He lifts her off the ground one-handed, the Praetor suit's servos providing strength that matches his own enhanced physiology. She stabs at his arm desperately, knives scoring the armor, but not penetrating deep enough to matter. The two Furies collide in a tangle of limbs and weapons. Lashina's whip wraps around Bernadette by accident, energy discharge catching both of them. They crash through a wall in a shower of debris and sparks. 30 seconds of combat. 3 Furies down or disabled. Only Stampa still standing. 30 seconds of combat. 3 Furies down or disabled. Only Stampa still standing. She looks at the armored figure, at the casual way he dispatched her sisters, at the complete absence of fear or hesitation in his stance. "What are you?" she demands, genuine curiosity mixing with rage. "You fight like nothing I've encountered. No technique, no style, just—" The Doomslayer pulls out his chainsaw. Stampa's eyes widen. Oh no!" He charges. What follows is brutal even by Apokolips standards. Stampa is strong, genuinely, God-level strong, but strength means nothing when your opponent doesn't care about taking damage. The Slayer runs directly into her punches, armor absorbing impacts that would shatter buildings, chainsaw screaming toward her midsection. She catches the chainsaw blade between her palms. The teeth scream against her flesh, drawing blood but not cutting deep enough. Her durability is incredible, near invulnerable hide-protecting vitals. She grins through the pain. "Not good enough, monster." "I've fought." The Slayer's knee drives into her face with pile-driver force. Her nose breaks. Blood explodes across her features. While she's stunned, he wrenches the chainsaw free and reverses grip, slamming the weapon's body into her temple like a club. Once, twice, 3 times. Stampa falls unconscious before she hits the ground. The impact creates a crater. The Doomslayer stands over 4 fallen Furies, chainsaw still idling, covered in their blood and his own. The neurotoxin from Mad Harriet's talons is in his system. His HUD shows warnings about compromised neural function. But he's fought through worse, has battled with Hell Knight venom in his veins, with arch-vile curses eating at his soul, with injuries that would kill normal humans 1,000 times over. Pain is just information he ignores. Lashina crawls from the rubble, whip sparking, one arm hanging useless. "Impossible," she whispers. "We're the Furies. We're Granny's finest. We've never—" The Slayer aims the super shotgun at her face. "Wait!" She holds up her good hand. "Wait! What do you want? Money? Power? We can offer you a place in Darkseid's armies. Weapons beyond your imagination. Immortality." He fires both barrels. The spread catches her in the shoulder instead of the face. She'd rolled at the last second, survival instinct overriding pride. The impact sends her tumbling across the courtyard. She doesn't get back up. The Doomslayer reloads methodically. The Furies aren't dead. They're too durable for that, but they're done. Broken, defeated, the first time in their existence that they failed a capture mission so completely. He turns toward the stairs leading up into the towers and begins walking. Behind him, Bernadette manages to activate her emergency beacon, calling for medical extraction. Mad Harriet whimpers, clutching her ruined hand. Stampa remains unconscious. Lashina lies in a pool of her own blood, staring at the armored figures retreating back with something approaching awe. "Granny," Bernadette's voice cracks through the communication channel. "Granny, we need extraction. The intruder, it defeated us. All of us. It fought like nothing we've trained for. Like it doesn't understand fear or pain or strategy. Just violence. Pure violence." In the orphanage, Granny Goodness watches the surveillance feed, her ancient face showing the first genuine surprise in centuries. "My Furies, defeated by a single warrior." She leans forward, studying the Slayer's movements. Not a warrior, something else. Something that was broken and remade in fire until breaking became impossible. Darkseid's voice crackles through. "Did you see how it fought? No wasted movement, yet no martial discipline. It's like watching an avalanche with purpose. I must study it, Granny. Whatever crucible forged that thing, I need to understand it." "You'll get your chance." Granny's voice hardens. "But first, I'm deploying the elite guard. Triple the forces, quadruple them, whatever it takes. And if conventional forces continue to fail," Granny's smile is terrible to behold, "then I inform Lord Darkseid personally, and he decides whether this thing is a curiosity to study or a threat to erase." The Doomslayer climbs the tower stairs, boots heavy on metal steps. Each level brings more parademons, guard posts, patrol stations, defensive positions. He kills them all. The plasma rifle talks in steady bursts, energy bolts finding targets with mechanical precision. When ammunition runs low, he switches to the chainsaw, turns a heavy parademon into mulch, and his counters refill. The system is elegant in its brutality. Kill violently, get rewarded with resources to kill more violently. It's a perpetual motion machine powered by rage and blood. He's been operating under these rules for so long that anything else would feel wrong. Floor after floor falls to his advance. The tower becomes a vertical abattoir, each level painted in parademon ichor. His armor is more black than green now, covered in the accumulated gore of hundreds of kills. The Praetor suit's self-repair systems work overtime. Nanomachines sealing breaches, energy shields regenerating during brief moments between combat. He reaches a landing where the architecture changes. Less industrial, more ceremonial. Omega symbols carved into walls with religious precision. Statues of Darkseid in poses of dominion and power. This is closer to the heart of things, closer to whoever runs this hell. Good. He wants to meet whoever's in charge, wants to kill them personally. A figure emerges from the shadows at the far end of the landing. Not a parademon, humanoid, but massive. 8 feet tall, armored in dark metal, carrying a weapon that's part club and part battering ram. The face is brutal, almost bestial, with none of the insectoid features of the lesser troops. Kalibak, son of Darkseid, steps into the light. "So," his voice rumbles like grinding stone, "you're the creature that broke my father's furies. Impressive, stupid, but impressive." He hefts his beta club, the weapon crackling with Omega energy. "Granny wants you alive for study. Darkseid wants you conscious for experiments. But me?" His grin is savage. "I just want to see if you bleed." The Doomslayer's response is to switch to the ballista and fire without warning. The Argent energy bolt crosses the distance in a fraction of a second, aimed directly at Kalibak's skull. The son of Darkseid moves, faster than his size suggests possible, and the bolt scorches past his face, burning a line across his cheek. Kalibak's grin widens. "You do bleed. Good. That means I can break you." He charges with speed that belies his massive frame, beta club swinging in an arc designed to pulverize concrete. The Slayer doesn't retreat, Retreat is for people who value survival over killing. He dives forward under the swing, ballista still firing. Energy bolts hammer Kalibak's armor, scoring the metal but not penetrating. The Beta Club's return swing catches the Slayer in the ribs. Omega energy detonates on impact. The Praetor suit's shields collapse completely. He's sent flying across the landing, crashes through a statue of Darkseid, and impacts the wall hard enough to crack stone. Damage warnings flood his HUD. Cracked ribs. Possible internal bleeding. Shield generators offline for 30 seconds. This is the hardest he's been hit since he can't remember. Since the Titan, maybe? Since the icon of sin? Pain information floods his nervous system. He categorizes it, files it away, ignores it. Pain is temporary. The mission is eternal. He rises to his feet, armor sparking, and sees Kalibak advancing with confidence. The brutish son of Darkseid hasn't fought many opponents who can get back up after taking a full-strength blow from the Beta Club. The Doomslayer reaches for his equipment launcher and loads a frag grenade. Then another. Then another. He fires all three in rapid succession, not at Kalibak directly, but at the floor around him. The explosions stagger even New God durability. Kalibak stumbles, smoke and shrapnel clouding his vision. The Slayer uses those precious seconds to switch weapons, loading something he's been saving for a worthy target. The BFG 9000 charges with a whine that makes the air itself vibrate. Kalibak sees the green glow through the smoke, and his eyes widen with something that might be respect. You have no idea who you're fighting, do you? I am Kalibak, son of Darkseid. I have broken gods. I have... The Slayer fires. The BFG ball impacts Kalibak's center mass. Green Argent energy explodes across his body, tendrils seeking every nerve cluster, every vital organ, every weakness in his otherwise impervious hide. The Omega energy in his armor conflicts with the Argent energy, creating a reaction that's beautiful and terrible. Kalibak screams. Actually screams. The sound echoes through the tower, and in monitoring stations across Apokolips, overseers freeze in shock. Kalibak doesn't scream. Kalibak doesn't feel pain that makes him scream. He drops to one knee, Beta Club falling from nerveless fingers, smoke rising from his armor. The BFG didn't kill him. His New God physiology is too robust, but it hurt him. Badly. Possibly permanently. The Doomslayer walks toward the kneeling figure, super shotgun already in his hands. Kalibak looks up, seeing death approaching, and for the first time in his long existence, understands what it means to be prey. "Father," he whispers, blood leaking from his mouth. "Father, forgive me." The Slayer raises the shotgun, and a boom tube erupts between them, golden light and thunder, and a voice like a wounded god roars across the landing. "Stop!" Orion, son of Darkseid, warrior of New Genesis, steps through the portal. His Astroforce rod blazes with barely controlled power, his face a mask of fury and recognition. "You," he says, staring at the Slayer. "I know what you are. I've seen your kind before, in the dark places between realities. Beings touched by dimensions of eternal torment, shaped by suffering into weapons that cannot be broken or reasoned with." His burning eyes narrow. "You're from hell, the real hell. And you think Apokolips is just another battlefield in your eternal war. The Doomslayer's only answer is to aim the super shotgun at this new target." Orion smiles, savage and terrible. "Good. I was hoping you'd be like this, because I need to see something. I need to know if rage, pure, unfiltered, infinite rage can be controlled, or if it always consumes everything, even the righteous." He raises the Astroforce rod. "Come then, hell-touched warrior. Show me what you are." The Doomslayer doesn't know who Orion is, doesn't care. All he sees is another demon standing between him and his objective, whatever that objective currently is beyond kill everything that looks demonic. The super shotgun rises, both barrels aimed at center mass. Orion's Astroforce rod pulses with cosmic energy, and he speaks quickly. "Wait. Before we fight, you should understand what you've walked into. Apokolips isn't hell. It's worse. It's hell made systematic, industrialized, perfected. Darkseid, The Slayer fires both barrels. Orion moves faster than the spread, the Astro Force rod creating a barrier of pure energy that deflects the shot. Buckshot ricochets across the landing, embedding in walls and statues. Orion's eyes widen slightly. You don't talk. Of course you don't. Why would you? Talking is for beings who still remember how to be anything other than weapons. The Slayer reloads. Mechanical precision, no wasted movement. The super shotgun snaps closed. He fires again. Orion deflects again, but this time he counterattacks. Energy bolts from the Astro Force rod hammering toward the Slayer's position. The Praetor suit's shields are still regenerating. 20 seconds until full capacity. The Slayer takes the hits on his armor directly, ablative plating scorching under cosmic fire. Pain information floods his system. Filed away. Ignored. He advances through the barrage, switching to the plasma rifle, returning fire with green bolts of superheated energy. Orion meets him in the middle of the landing, and they clash in a maelstrom of violence that neither is built to walk away from. The son of Darkseid fights with millennia of training, divine strength channeled through new god technology, rage barely contained beneath warrior discipline. Every strike is precise, calculated to exploit weaknesses, designed to end fights quickly. The Doomslayer fights with no training at all, just eons of experience killing things. Pure instinct honed to a razor edge. Movements that waste nothing because efficiency is survival, and survival is killing. There is no technique, no style, just optimal violence. Orion swings the Astro Force rod like a staff. The Slayer blocks with his plasma rifle, servos screaming, and drives his knee into Orion's ribs. Orion tanks the hit, new god durability absorbing the impact, and slams his forehead into the Slayer's visor, cracks spiderweb across the reinforced glass. They separate, circle, engage again. The Slayer pulls a frag grenade, primes it, throws it point blank. Orion catches it with telekinesis, hurls it back. The Slayer doesn't dodge. He shoots it mid-air with the plasma rifle. The explosion catches both of them. They both ignore it. Kalibak watches from his knees, blood dripping from his mouth, unable to believe what he's seeing. Two beings fighting at a level that matches or exceeds his own capabilities, trading blows that would shatter lesser warriors, and neither showing any sign of slowing down. "Stop!" Kalibak manages to croak. "Orion, brother, stop! You can't fight this thing. It doesn't understand mercy or surrender. It only knows violence." Orion laughs, savage and genuine. "Then it knows exactly what I know." He drives the Astroforce rod toward the Slayer's chest. The Slayer grabs the weapon mid-strike. Servos and enhanced strength versus divine power, and for 3 impossible seconds, they're locked in a test of raw force. The rod begins to bend. Orion's eyes widen in disbelief. Impossible. This weapon is forged from source energy, blessed by Highfather himself, unbreakable by... The Doomslayer headbutts him. Through his helmet, through Orion's reinforced skull. The impact creates a shockwave that shatters nearby windows. Both combatants stagger back. Orion's nose is broken, blood streaming down his face. The Slayer's visor is completely shattered now, exposing his face for the first time since arriving on Apokolips. Kalibak sees it and recoils. Those eyes. There's nothing there. No soul. Just rage. But that's not quite true. There is something in the Doomslayer's eyes. Not emptiness. Not even madness. Something that predates both. Something primal and terrible. Purpose. Single-minded, absolute, unshakable purpose. Orion sees it too, and his expression shifts from combat fury to something approaching understanding. You're not fighting because you want to. You're fighting because it's all you have left, all you are. He lowers the Astroforce rod slightly. Whatever happened to you, whoever did this, to you, they created something that can never stop, can never rest, can never be anything except what they made you. The Slayer's response is to switch to the rocket launcher. Of course. Orion's smile is bitter. Why waste time on philosophy when there's more killing to do? He raises his voice, addressing the tower itself. This is Orion of New Genesis. I'm commandeering this combat. All forces stand down. This warrior is mine to deal with. Boom tubes erupt around the landing, not with reinforcements, but with Mother Box technology creating barriers. sealing off the area. Orion is isolating them, preventing interference, creating conditions for a proper duel. The Doomslayer doesn't appreciate the gesture. He just sees obstacles, fires the rocket launcher. 3 rockets arc toward Orion in rapid succession. Orion meets them with Astroforce bolts, detonating the rockets mid-flight. Explosions bloom between them, smoke and fire filling the landing. Through the smoke, 2 figures continue their battle, neither willing to yield, neither capable of yielding. In the monitoring stations, Darkseid watches with instruments clicking faster than ever. Extraordinary. The intruder is matching Orion blow for blow. Orion, who carries Darkseid's blood, who wields the Astroforce, who has fought the Justice League to standstill. What kind of crucible creates something with that capacity? Granny Goodness's voice cuts through. Darkseid, this has gone beyond scientific curiosity. The intruder has defeated my furies, crippled Kalibak, and is now engaging Orion as an equal. We need to escalate. I'm petitioning Lord Darkseid for direct intervention. Wait. Darkseid's fingers pause on his controls. Look at the combat patterns. The intruder isn't trying to win. It's simply fighting, as if victory and defeat are meaningless concepts and only the act of violence itself matters. Granny, I don't think conventional escalation will solve this. Then what do you suggest? I suggest, Darkseid says slowly, that we recognize what we're dealing with. This isn't a warrior. It's a force of nature. You don't defeat a tsunami or capture an earthquake. You either redirect it or you survive it. Redirect it how? Darkseid's smile is cold and calculating. Give it what it wants. It came here killing parademons because it thinks they're demons. So give it demons. Real ones. Open the hell pits where we keep our captured dimensional entities. Let it fight what it was designed to fight. And while it's occupied, we study it from a safe distance. Granny's voice carries approval. Clever. But Darkseid, what if it wins? What if it kills everything we release and then continues its rampage? Then, Darkseid says quietly, we've discovered something that even Lord Darkseid needs to know about. Something that might be relevant to his search for the anti-life equation. After all, what is this creature if not living proof that free will can be completely subsumed by single purpose? It has no choice but to kill. That's a form of anti-life in its way. The battle between Orion and the Doomslayer has destroyed half the landing. Statues lie in rubble. Walls are scorched and cratered. The floor is cracked and broken. Neither combatant shows signs of stopping. Orion bleeds from a dozen wounds, armor cracked, Astroforce rod flickering from overuse. The Doomslayer's Praetor suit is in similar condition, shields permanently offline, armor plates missing, one arm hanging at a slightly wrong angle, suggesting dislocated shoulder. Neither cares about their injuries. They've transitioned from range combat to melee. Orion swings the Astroforce rod like a club. The Slayer blocks with his armored forearms, bones and servos both screaming under the impact, then drives his fist into Orion's solar plexus. Orion absorbs it, grabs the Slayer's arm, and throws him across the landing. The Slayer crashes through what's left of a wall, rolls to his feet in the space beyond, and finds himself in a chamber that makes him pause. Bodies, dozens of them, humanoid corpses in various states of decay, chained to walls, tortured and broken. Some are still barely alive, whimpering in languages he doesn't understand. The room reeks of suffering and despair. For one moment, the first since arriving on Apokolips, the Doomslayer's rage falters. Not because he's found compassion. Compassion died in him long ago. But because he recognizes this. Hell's torture chambers, the Kattingir Sanctum, the Necrovole, places where demons inflicted suffering not for military purpose, but for the joy of it. Orion steps through the broken wall, breathing hard, ready to continue the fight. Then he sees where they are, and his expression shifts. Darkseid's laboratory, where he experiments, studies pain, breaks beings to see what they become. He looks at the Slayer, seeing the subtle change in posture. You recognize this, don't you? You've seen rooms like this before. The Doomslayer doesn't answer. Can't answer. The rage that drives him forward has found a new gear, something beyond even his normal intensity. These aren't soldiers. These are victims. And whoever did this, whoever runs this place, isn't just an enemy. They're demons. Real demons. The kind he was made to kill. Orion sees the shift and takes an involuntary step back. Whatever you're about to do, think carefully. Darkseid is protected by Lord Darkseid himself. Attacking him directly is... The Slayer's already moving, ignoring Orion completely, sprinting toward the tower's upper levels with renewed purpose. The BFG 9000 is in his hands, charged and ready. His heads-up display marks a power signature above. Massive, concentrated, surrounded by technology that hums with malevolence. That's where he's going. That's who he's going to kill. Orion watches him go and makes a decision. He activates his mother box. "Hi, Father, are you receiving? This is Orion. The situation on Apokolips has escalated beyond parameters. The intruder from hell isn't just fighting, it's hunting now, and its target is Darkseid." Hi Father's voice crackles through. "Can you stop it?" Orion looks at the broken landing, at Kalibak still struggling to stand, at his own injuries from a fight that nearly matched him. "No, I don't think anyone can stop it except Darkseid himself. And Father..." He pauses. "I'm not sure even that would be enough. This thing doesn't fear death. I don't think it can fear death. It's been dead already, in every way that matters. It's just moving because hatred is all it has left. Then contain the damage. Protect the innocent where possible. And Orion?" Highfather's voice carries weight. "Do not try to befriend this creature. It cannot be saved. It can only be aimed." "I understand." Orion deactivates the comm and looks up at where the Slayer disappeared. The question is whether anyone can aim something that exists only to destroy. Above in his laboratory filled with instruments of torment, Darkseid finally feels something he hasn't felt in millennia. Genuine concern. The intruder is coming for him specifically, and all his instruments, all his knowledge, all his centuries of studying pain. None of it prepares him for facing pain incarnate. He activates emergency protocols, sealing blast doors, activating defense systems, summoning his personal guard. Then reluctantly, he opens a communication channel to the throne room. "Lord Darkseid," his voice is carefully controlled, "I believe it's time you met our visitor personally. The blast doors to Darkseid's laboratory are 6 feet of reinforced metasteel, designed to withstand orbital bombardment and Omega beam strikes. They're sealed with technology that makes New Genesis security look primitive, layered with force fields that could contain a miniature star. The Doomslayer doesn't slow down. He hits the doors at full sprint, activating the equipment launcher mid-stride. A remote detonation mine slaps against the metasteel, and he keeps running, barely clearing the blast radius when it detonates. The explosion doesn't destroy the doors. They're too reinforced. But it cracks the force field generators. The Slayer follows up with the BFG 9000. Point-blank range. Maximum charge. The green plasma ball detonates against the weakened barriers with enough force to make the entire tower shake. Energy tendrils seek weaknesses, exploit fractures, overwhelm compensators. The force fields collapse in cascading failure. The blast doors themselves glow red, then white, then simply cease to exist as coherent matter. Through the molten gap, the Doomslayer enters Darkseid's sanctuary. The laboratory is a cathedral of suffering. Instruments of torture line the walls, some technological, some biological, some that exist in states between the two. Examination tables hold subjects in various stages of vivisection. Holographic displays show anatomical diagrams of 1,000 species, each with vulnerabilities marked and cataloged. The air smells of ozone, blood, and chemicals designed to keep subjects conscious through procedures that should kill them. Darkseid stands in the center, surrounded by his personal guard. 12 of them, elite warriors in dark armor, carrying weapons that hum with exotic energy. The ancient scientist's thin face shows calculated calm, but his fingers move rapidly across control panels, activating every defense system he has. "Welcome," Darkseid's voice is cultured, almost pleasant, "to my workshop. I've been hoping to meet you properly. The data I've collected from your rampage has been fascinating, but nothing compares to direct observation." His instruments click and whir, recording every detail. Tell me, what are you? Where did you come from? What purpose drives you with such single-minded? The Slayer shoots him. The super shotgun's spread crosses the distance between them in a fraction of a second. Darkseid's personal shield activates. Force field technology beyond even what protected the doors, and the buckshot disintegrates against the barrier. But the shield flickers, power cells straining. Darkseid's pleasant expression doesn't change. I see. No conversation. How disappointing, but not unexpected. My instruments suggested you'd lost the capacity for speech somewhere in your transformation. Whatever crucible you endured removed everything except the violence. He gestures to his guards. Kill it. Try to leave the head intact. I want to study the brain. The 12 elite guards attack in perfect coordination, centuries of training evident in every movement. They're not parademons. These are Apokolips true warriors, enhanced beyond standard biology, armed with weapons that can harm new gods. The Doomslayer kills 3 of them in the first 5 seconds. Chainsaw through the first one's torso, glory kill regeneration flooding his systems. Rocket launcher at point blank into the second, explosion catching the third as collateral. The remaining 9 adapt, spreading out, using cover, suppressing fire while others maneuver. Professional tactics, the kind that would work against normal opponents. The Slayer doesn't fight tactically, he fights inevitably. He switches to the ballista, precision shots punching through cover and armor simultaneously. 2 more guards fall, massive holes blown through their chests. The survivors try to fall back, establish better defensive positions, but the Slayer is already among them. Super shotgun roaring, armored fists crushing skulls when he gets too close for weapons. 45 seconds. All 12 guards dead or dying. Darkseid watches his defense force disintegrate and allows himself a small smile. Remarkable. Kill efficiency exceeding even Kalibak's best performances. Reaction time suggesting either precognitive abilities or combat instincts honed beyond normal parameters. Durability that rivals new god physiology despite obvious biological base. You're not enhanced, you're something else entirely. The Slayer advances toward him, reloading the super shotgun with mechanical precision. His exposed face, visible through the shattered visor, shows no expression, just blank, terrible focus. Darkseid activates his final defense, the laboratory's main power core. Energy floods the chamber, lethal radiation that would kill unprotected humans in seconds. Let's see how your armor handles this. Most technology fails under sustained. The Praetor suit's radiation resistance is absolute. It was designed to operate in Hell's core, where reality itself burns with malevolent energy. Apokolips' industrial radiation is nothing by comparison. The Slayer doesn't even slow down. Fascinating, Darkseid murmurs, instruments recording frantically. The armor isn't just protective, it's adaptive. Or perhaps you've been exposed to so much exotic radiation that your biology has evolved immunity. Either way, you're the single most interesting specimen I've encountered in millennia. He taps a final control, and the floor beneath the Slayer opens, dropping him into a pit lined with spikes coated in toxins, derived from 1,000 dying species. The Doomslayer catches the edge of the pit one-handed, servos screaming under the sudden weight, and pulls himself back up through sheer strength. The toxin spikes missed him by inches. Darkseid's calm expression finally cracks. You're not possible. The reflexes required to catch yourself during a fall, while wearing that armor's weight, while injured from sustained combat, the G-forces alone should have torn your arm from its socket. The Slayer raises the super shotgun. Wait! Darkseid's voice takes on genuine urgency. Before you kill me, and yes, I see now that you will, let me offer you something. Information. I know what you are. I've cross-referenced your energy signature with dimensional databases. You're from Hell, the actual Hell dimension, and Apokolips has connections to that realm. Portals, gateways. I can send you back. The Slayer's finger tightens on the trigger. Think. Darkseid speaks faster. You're trapped here. This isn't your war. These aren't your demons to kill. I can open a portal to your dimension. You can go home. Continue your eternal crusade where it belongs. All I ask in return is that you leave me intact to study how you arrived here. A fair trade, your freedom for my curiosity. For the first time since entering the laboratory, the Doomslayer hesitates. Not because he believes Assad, not because he wants to go home. Home is a concept that died with everything else human in him, but because the words trigger something in his shattered memory. Portals, hell, demons, the mission. Darkseid sees the hesitation and presses his advantage. Yes, you understand. You're a weapon, but even weapons have purpose. Your purpose is hell, not Apokolips. Let me redirect you to your proper battlefield, and we both get what we want. The Slayer lowers the super shotgun slightly. Darkseid allows himself a small breath of relief and gestures to a section of the laboratory where massive machinery hums with barely contained energy. The Hell Gate. We've been studying it for centuries, capturing demons for experimentation. I can activate it, open a pathway home for you. Just lower your weapon and the Doomslayer fires both barrels into Darkseid's personal shield. The barrier flickers dangerously, power cell at critical levels. Darkseid stumbles backward, pleasant facade finally cracking completely into fear. You can't, I offered you. The Slayer doesn't care about offers, doesn't care about going home, doesn't care about anything except the mission that's burned into his very existence. Kill demons. And anyone who captures demons, who studies them, who uses them for experiments, is exactly the kind of target he was created to destroy. He advances, reloading, methodical and unstoppable. Darkseid's fingers fly across emergency controls. Fine, fine. You want demons? I'll give you demons. He slams a master release and throughout the laboratory, containment fields begin dropping. I've collected specimens from a dozen hell dimensions. Let's see how you handle them all at once. Cages and force fields fail in sequence. Things emerge, genuine demons, not parademons, actual entities of malevolence and hunger pulled from dimensional rifts and held prisoner for Darkseid's amusement. A mancubus, flesh melting and reforming, flame cannons growing from its arms. A hell knight, all muscle and rage. 3 imps, chittering and drooling acid. A cacodemon, floating sphere of teeth and hatred. Darkseid backs toward an emergency escape route, shield flickering. Kill it! Kill the armored one! Earn your freedom! The demons turn toward the Doomslayer. He looks at them. Genuine demons from his dimension, actual enemies from the war he's been fighting for eons. And something in his shattered psyche settles into place. These aren't parademons pretending to be demons. These are the real thing. Finally, the super shotgun lowers, not in surrender, in replacement. He reaches for his back and draws something he's been saving, something he only uses when the killing needs to be personal. The crucible ignites, blade of pure argent energy extending 7 feet from the hilt, burning with light that hurts to see. The blade that has killed titans, the blade that has ended gods. The demons see it and hesitate. They recognize that weapon. They know what it means. The Doomslayer advances, and the laboratory becomes a slaughterhouse. The mancubus dies first, crucible through its massive gut, argent energy cooking it from inside. The Hell Knight lunges with claws extended. The Slayer sidesteps, reverses grip, and the crucible takes its head off in one clean stroke. The imps try to swarm. He switches back to super shotgun, blasting 2 apart, then chainsaw the third for ammunition refill. The cacodemon floats backward, eye wide with genuine fear. It's seen the Slayer before, in hell's depths, seen what he does to its kind. It tries to flee, tries to portal back to hell, tries anything to escape. The Slayer throws the crucible like a spear. The blade punches through the cacodemon's central eye, pins it to the wall, and the demon screams in a frequency that shatters glass before it dies. 40 seconds. All the demons dead. The Slayer retrieves the crucible, blade still burning, and turns toward where Darkseid is frantically trying to activate his escape route. The ancient scientist's pleasant mask is completely gone now, replaced by genuine terror. No, wait, I have more specimens, more demons. I can give you what you want. A boom tube erupts in the center of the laboratory. Not the crimson red of Apokolips, Pure black shot through with omega energy so concentrated it bends light around itself. Darkseid steps through. The Lord of Apokolips fills the laboratory with his presence, 9 feet of carved stone and divine malevolence. His eyes burn red with barely contained power. When he speaks, the words carry weight that makes reality itself listen. Enough! The single word freezes everything. Darkseid stops scrambling. The Slayer's advance halts, not from fear, but from tactical reassessment. This is different. This entity radiates power on a scale that triggers warning protocols in his HUD, danger levels exceeding anything he's encountered since the Icon of Sin. Darkseid studies the Slayer with eyes that have seen civilizations rise and fall. Doom Slayer? Yes, I know what you are. My mother boxes have been analyzing your energy signature since you arrived. You're not from my multiverse. You're from a hell dimension parallel to our reality, and you've been fighting there so long, you've forgotten how to be anything else. The Slayer doesn't respond. Can't respond. Just watches this new threat with absolute focus. You've killed 800 of my Parademons, crippled my son Kalibak, defeated the Furies, destroyed 3 industrial sectors, and now you stand in my chief scientist's laboratory, surrounded by demon corpses covered in blood, still ready to fight. Darkseid's stone face shows something that might be respect. You are chaos incarnate, pure, uncontrolled, infinite chaos, and I cannot allow chaos to exist in my perfect order. The Slayer's grip tightens on the crucible. However, Darkseid continues, I am not a fool. You cannot be broken. I saw what my Furies couldn't accomplish. You cannot be controlled. You've demonstrated that repeatedly. You cannot be reasoned with. You lack the capacity for negotiation. Killing you would require resources I'd rather not expend. His eyes narrow. So I offer you something different, a purpose that aligns with what you already want. Darkseid gestures, and a holographic display materializes, showing a dimensional rift pulsing with crimson energy. Darkseid wasn't lying about the Hellgate. We've been studying it, yes, but not for the reasons he claimed. I seek knowledge of all things, including the hell dimensions, and those dimensions have been leaking into mine, contaminating my perfect order with demonic incursions. The display shifts, showing multiple rifts across different sectors of Apokolips. You want to kill demons. I want demons removed from my world. We can help each other. I open the Hellgate, point you at every demonic incursion in my territory, and you do what you were made to do. In exchange, his smile is terrible to behold. In exchange, when you've purged my world of every demon, I personally open a portal to send you wherever you want. Back to your hell, back to your war, back to the only purpose you have left. Darkseid watches this negotiation with growing horror. My lord, you can't seriously be offering this creature. Silence! Darkseid's voice cuts like a blade. This is beyond your understanding, Darkseid. The Doomslayer isn't a warrior or a weapon, it's a force of nature, and nature can be directed. The Slayer considers. The crucible's blade still burns in his hand. Every instinct screams to attack this obvious enemy, this creature that radiates tyranny and oppression. But beneath the rage, beneath the violence, there's still a fragment of tactical thinking. If this entity is telling truth, if there are actual demons here to kill, then alignment serves the mission. Kill demons. That's the mission. That's always the mission. The crucible deactivates, not in surrender, in acceptance. Darkseid nods slowly. Good. Then we have an accord. I'll provide coordinates to every demonic incursion. You'll eradicate them. And Doomslayer? The Omega energy in his eyes intensifies. If you betray this arrangement, if you turn your violence against my forces again, I will personally ensure your existence becomes more painful than any hell you've ever encountered. Do we understand each other? The Slayer's only response is to turn toward the Hellgate machinery, waiting for activation. Darkseid gestures to Darkseid. Open it. Show him the first incursion point. Darkseid, bleeding and terrified, activates the machinery with shaking hands. The Hellgate roars to life, a portal of crimson fire opening to reveal a dimension of torment. Through it, they can see genuine demons, Hundreds of them, maybe thousands, a full incursion force preparing to flood into Apokolips. The Doomslayer looks at the horde of demons, at the war waiting for him on the other side, and something that might be satisfaction flickers in his dead eyes. Finally, real demons, real war, real purpose. He steps through the portal without hesitation, crucible reigniting, weapons ready, and the demons on the other side scream as they recognize what's coming for them. Darkseid watches him go and turns to Darkseid. Did you think I was being merciful? Giving him what he wants? Yes, my lord? No. Darkseid's smile is cruel. I'm testing a hypothesis. If pure infinite violence can be given purpose and direction, then perhaps the anti-life equation has been wrong all along. Perhaps life doesn't need to be proven meaningless. Perhaps it can be reduced to single purpose so completely that choice becomes irrelevant. He gestures at the portal where the sounds of slaughter are already echoing through. The Doomslayer proves that free will can be consumed by absolute purpose, and if that's true, his eyes burn brighter. Then I've found a new variable for my equation. Darkseid stares at his ruined laboratory, at the demon corpses, at the portal where something worse than demons is currently tearing through Hell's legions. My lord, what have we unleashed? Not unleashed. Darkseid turns toward his boom tube. Aimed. And when the Doomslayer finishes purging every demon from my territory, when he's served his purpose, I'll send him home to his hell and forget he ever existed. Or, his pause is meaningful, I'll study how to replicate him. Imagine, an army of beings with no will except the will I give them. No choice except my choice. No purpose except my purpose. He steps through the boom tube, leaving Darkseid alone in the wreckage. The ancient scientist looks at the Hellgate portal, at the ongoing carnage visible through it, and for the first time in his long existence, he wonders if perhaps some things shouldn't be studied after all. The Hell dimension beyond Apokolips Gate is simultaneously familiar and wrong to the Doomslayer. The architecture is right, twisted spires of bone and metal, rivers of blood, the screaming sky, but the energy signature is off, slightly skewed from the Hell he knows. This is a parallel dimension, similar but distinct, like looking at his war through a cracked mirror. He doesn't care about the differences. The demons are real enough. A Baron of Hell charges toward him, massive horns lowered, claws extended, roaring in a language designed to inspire terror. The Slayer sidesteps the charge with practiced ease, crucible blades swinging in a perfect arc. The Baron's head separates from its shoulders mid-roar, body crashing past him to tumble off a cliff edge into the blood river below. Glory kill, health and ammunition surge. More demons pour toward him. Imps, revenants, cacodemons, a full invasion force that was preparing to flood through the gate into Apokolips. They see the armored figure standing in their path and hesitate. Some of them know that silhouette. Some of them have heard legends from other Hell dimensions about a warrior who cannot die, cannot stop, cannot be anything except death incarnate. The legends are all true. The Slayer advances into their ranks, and what follows is less a battle than a natural disaster. The super shotgun speaks in rhythmic thunder. The ballista's precision bolts find eyes and hearts. The rocket launcher turns clusters into red mist. And when ammunition runs low, which it never does for long thanks to glory kills, the crucible blade drinks deep. He moves through the demonic horde like water finding cracks, like fire consuming oxygen, like inevitability wearing flesh. Every motion is efficient. Every kill sets up the next kill. Decades, centuries, eons of warfare have stripped away everything except perfect lethality. 15 minutes into the incursion point, he's killed 200 demons. The survivors begin retreating deeper into their dimension, fleeing from the intruder, reorganizing under the command of something bigger. The Slayer follows them. He doesn't accept retreat. He doesn't leave survivors. The mission parameters are clear. Eliminate all demonic presence. That means every single one. The Hell dimension stretches before him, an entire realm of torment and suffering, populated by thousands of demons across multiple circles and territories. To any sane warrior, it would be impossible. An endless battle against infinite enemies. To the Doomslayer, it's just Tuesday. Back on Apokolips, Darkseid watches through surveillance feeds as the Slayer carves a bloody path through hell. Darkseid stands beside him, instruments clicking and humming, recording every detail of the combat performance. 400 demons in 23 minutes, Darkseid reports, voice carefully neutral. Kill efficiency increasing as he adapts to this dimension-specific demon variants. Energy expenditure minimal due to the regenerative properties of his glory kill mechanic. My lord, he could theoretically operate indefinitely in such an environment. That's the point, Darkseid rumbles. He's a perpetual motion machine of violence. Every demon he kills fuels the next kill. Perfect sustainability through infinite warfare. His eyes narrow. How many demonic incursion points do we currently have across Apokolips? 7 active rifts, my lord. 17 dormant ones we've contained but not sealed. The demons have been attempting to establish beachheads in our reality for centuries. Good. Darkseid's smile is cold calculation. When he finishes with the first incursion, direct him to the second, then the third. Keep him occupied with genuine demons until I've had time to study what he is and how he was created. If I can understand the process that made him, Darkseid understands immediately. You want to replicate it, create warriors with singular purpose, incapable of rebellion because they're incapable of choice. The anti-life equation proves that free will is meaningless. The Doomslayer demonstrates what comes after free will, pure function. He's not alive in any meaningful sense. He's an algorithm written in flesh and rage. Kill demons forever. That's all he is. And you want an army of such algorithms, each programmed for different purposes. Precisely. Darkseid turns from the screens. The Slayer will serve as proof of concept. If one being can be reduced to single function and operate perfectly within that function, then all beings can. And once I understand the mechanism, his omega energy crackles with terrible possibility. I'll have found what the anti-life equation has always promised. The end of chaos through the end.
Of choice. Darkseid hesitates, rare for him. My lord, forgive my impertinence, but what if we can't control him once the demons are eliminated? What if he turns his violence back toward us? He won't, because I'll ensure there are always more demons. Darkseid's eyes gleam with malicious intelligence. The rifts to hell dimensions are infinite. I'll simply keep opening new ones, keep providing him with targets, keep him perpetually occupied. And if he ever becomes a problem, the omega energy in his eyes intensifies. I am Darkseid. I end things. Even things that cannot die can be unmade if one has sufficient power and will. The Doomslayer doesn't know he's being watched, doesn't know he's being used, doesn't care about anything except the demon in front of him that's currently dying on his chainsaw. He's 3 miles into the hell dimension now, pushing toward what his HUD identifies as a major demonic stronghold, some kind of fortress where the invasion was being coordinated. The fortress is carved from the fossilized remains of something impossibly huge, walls made of bone that's been fused and shaped by hell's energies. Defensive positions line the approach. Summoner demons call reinforcements. Hell Knights form shield walls. Keiko demons provide aerial support. It's actual military organization, the kind of coordinated defense that suggests intelligence behind it. The Slayer approaches the fortress directly. No stealth, no flanking, just straight toward the main gate. Every demon between him and that gate dies. The super shotgun and ballista work in concert. Close-range devastation and precision kills, alternating in perfect rhythm. When the summoners call reinforcements, he uses the BFG 9000, green plasma obliterating entire sections of the defensive line. A Hell Knight shield wall blocks the gate. 8 of them, massive and armored, standing shoulder to shoulder, weapons ready. Behind them, Barons of Hell wait for any breach. The Slayer doesn't slow down. He activates something he hasn't used yet on Apokolips. something he saves for when the killing needs to be personal and total. Berserk mode. His vision shifts red. Strength amplifies beyond even the Praetor suit's normal enhancement. Pain becomes irrelevant. Strategy becomes irrelevant. Only violence matters. Only killing matters. He charges the shield wall barehanded. The Hell Knights brace for impact. Their shields have stopped Argent weapons, stopped plasma fire, stopped everything the forces of heaven could throw at them. They're confident in their defense. The Doomslayer hits them like a battering ram powered by condensed rage. His fists, just armored fists, no weapons, no special equipment, punch through shields designed to withstand anti-tank rounds. He grabs a Hell Knight's head and twists until the neck snaps, grabs another by the arm and literally tears it off, beats the demon to death with its own limb. The shield wall doesn't break. It disintegrates. Behind it, the Barons of Hell see Berserk mode in action and make a decision that's rare for demons. They run. Raw survival instinct overrides pride and rage. Whatever that armored thing is, it's not worth fighting in this state. The Slayer chases them into the fortress. The Berserk mode fades after 90 seconds, but it doesn't matter. He's inside now, deep in enemy territory, and the demons are disorganized, panicked. He switches back to weapons. Rocket launcher for the corridors, super shotgun for the rooms, crucible for anything that looks important. The fortress becomes a slaughterhouse, blood-painting walls that were already red, screams echoing in chambers designed to produce screams. At the fortress's heart, in a throne room carved from bone and agony, the Slayer finds what he's looking for. The Commander. Not a standard demon. Something else. Something that makes his targeting systems flash warnings. A demon lord. A true Prince of Hell. Not from this dimension, but from somewhere deeper. Something that's crossed multiple barriers to establish its domain here. It's massive. 15 feet tall, wreathed in flame, carrying a sword forged from tortured souls. Its voice is volcanic fury and ancient malice. So, the Slayer, even here, even in dimensions you don't belong, you hunt us. Can you not stop? Can you not rest? Is there nothing left in you but this endless crusade? The Doomslayer's response is to pull out the BFG 9000 and fire without preamble. The Demon Lord deflects the plasma ball with its soul sword, energy exploding across the throne room. Fool, I am beyond your weapons. I am eternal darkness. I am. The Slayer switches to the crucible and charges. What follows is the kind of battle that would make legends in any other context. Demon Lord and Slayer clash in the center of the throne room, crucible meeting soul sword in showers of sparks and screaming energy. The Demon Lord is strong, genuinely, apocalyptically strong, and skilled beyond mortal measure. But the Slayer has
Killed dozens of demon lords. Hundreds, maybe thousands across his eons of warfare. He knows their patterns, their weaknesses, their tells, and most importantly, he knows they can die. The fight lasts 7 minutes. The throne room is destroyed in the process. Walls collapse, floor cratered, ceiling partially caved in. The Slayer takes hits that would kill normal humans, that crack even the Praetor suit's reinforced plating. But he doesn't stop. Never stops. The crucible finds the Demon Lord's throat. Argent energy floods into the wound, burning the demon from inside. The massive creature staggers, disbelief on its face. Impossible. I am eternal. The Slayer drives the blade deeper. The Demon Lord's essence burns away, screaming into nothing, soul sword dissolving into mist. The massive body collapses, and the Slayer stands over it, crucible still blazing. Glory kill, maximum regeneration. His HUD updates. Demonic incursion point 1. Neutralized. The Hell dimension begins collapsing now that its anchor is destroyed. Reality fractures. the fortress crumbling, demons fleeing through dimensional cracks to escape the destruction. The Slayer turns and walks back toward the Apokolips gate, methodical, unhurried. Behind him, an entire hell stronghold ceases to exist. He steps through the gate, back to Apokolips covered in demon blood, armor scorched and damaged, but functionally intact. Darkseid is waiting with his instruments, recording everything. Remarkable performance, the scientist says clinically. 647 demons eliminated. One demon lord destroyed. Hell dimension collapsed. Total time, 3 hours, 14 minutes. Efficiency rating, exceptional. He gestures to a holographic display showing a new location. I have coordinates for incursion point 2. Larger demon population, estimated 900 hostiles. Can you proceed immediately, or do you require... The Slayer is already walking toward the new coordinates. Darkseid watches him go and speaks into his comm. Lord Darkseid, the hypothesis is confirmed. He doesn't need rest, doesn't need motivation, doesn't need anything except targets. He is precisely what you theorized. Function without will, algorithm without consciousness, perfect purpose. Good, Darkseid's voice rumbles through the comm. Keep him occupied. I want every demonic incursion purged while I analyze the data. And Darkseid, begin theoretical work on replication protocols. If one Doomslayer can be created, others can be engineered. Imagine an army of beings with no choice except the choice I program, no will except my will, no purpose except to serve Apokolips. As you command, my lord. The Doomslayer doesn't hear this conversation, doesn't know he's being studied, analyzed, prepared for replication. He only knows that incursion point 2 has demons, and demons must die. He arrives at the new Hell Gate 3 hours later, this one in an industrial sector where demons have been trying to convert Apokolips technology for their own use. The gate opens, revealing another dimension of torment, another army of demons, another war. The Slayer steps through without hesitation. Behind him, unnoticed in the shadows, someone else watches. Not Darkseid, not Darkseid's forces, someone from outside Apokolips entirely. Orion stands in the ruins, having followed the Slayer's path of destruction, studying the pattern. He's seen warriors broken by war before, seen soldiers so damaged they become machines, seen heroes twisted into weapons. But this is different. This isn't damage. This is completion. The Slayer isn't broken. He's functioning exactly as designed. Hi, Father. Orion speaks into his mother box. We have a problem. Darkseid isn't trying to kill the Slayer or control him. He's trying to understand him. And if Darkseid figures out how to create more beings like this, then he's found a way to weaponize the complete absence of free will, Highfather's voice responds. Anti-life made flesh. Orion, you must find a way to reach the Slayer, to prove to him that he's being used, that he still has choice, even if he's forgotten how to use it. I don't think he can be reached, Father. There's nothing left inside him except the mission. Whoever he was before hell broke him, that person is gone. Then perhaps it's time the Justice League learned about our visitor from hell. They have experience with beings who've lost themselves to violence. They may see something we've missed. Orion nods slowly. I'll contact Batman. If anyone can find a weakness in Darkseid's plan, it's him. He activates a boom tube to Earth, leaving Apokolips behind. Neither he nor the Slayer realize that they're about to drag Earth's mightiest heroes into a war between infinite rage and eternal tyranny. And somewhere in his throne room, Darkseid smiles. Everything is proceeding exactly as calculated. Batman doesn't like dimensional anomalies. They're unpredictable, difficult to contain, and almost always lead to situations that require Superman-level intervention. So when Orion's boom tube opens in the Batcave without warning, Bruce's hand is on the batarang before the portal fully materializes. Orion, Batman's voice is flat, controlled. You're violating the new Genesis Earth non-interference protocols by arriving unannounced. I know. Orion steps through, and Batman immediately notices the damage. Armor cracked, burns across his arms, blood dried on his face. But we have a problem that exceeds protocols. Something has arrived on Apokolips. Something that Darkseid is studying with disturbing interest. Alfred appears from the medical station with a first aid kit. Master Orion, you look like you've been through a war. I fought something that's been at war for eons. Orion accepts the offered medical supplies. And lost. Barely survived, actually. This being, it defeated the Furies, crippled Kalibak, and matched me blow for blow before I realized fighting it was pointless. Batman's eyes narrow. Power level? Beyond Superman in pure combat efficiency, not necessarily stronger, but more relentless. It doesn't tire, doesn't stop, doesn't feel pain in any meaningful way. And most concerning, Darkseid isn't trying to kill it, he's using it. Explain. Orion pulls up a holographic display from his mother box, showing surveillance footage from Apokolips. Batman watches the Doomslayer tear through Parademons, fight the Furies, battle Orion himself, and finally enter Darkseid's laboratory. What is it? Batman's analytical mind is already cataloging details, armor technology, weapon types, combat patterns. It calls itself nothing. We call it the Doomslayer. It's from a hell dimension parallel to ours, and it's been fighting demons there for so long that it's lost everything except the capacity for violence. Darkseid made a deal with it, pointed at demonic incursions on Apokolips, let it kill to its heart's content, and in exchange it doesn't turn its rage on his forces. And you believe Darkseid has ulterior motives. I know he does. Orion's face hardens. He's studying the Slayer, analyzing how a being can be reduced to pure function, how free will can be completely consumed by singular purpose. Bruce, if Darkseid figures out how to replicate this process, he creates soldiers who can't rebel because they can't choose anything except their programming. Batman's mind races through implications. Anti-life equation made manifest. Not philosophical proof that life is meaningless, but actual beings who demonstrate it. Exactly. Orion plays more footage. The Slayer walking through hell dimensions, killing demons with mechanical precision, showing zero deviation from his program purpose. This thing has no will, no choice, no capacity for anything except its mission. And it's the most effective killer I've ever seen because of it. Alfred speaks quietly. Forgive me, but hasn't Master Bruce fought alongside individuals with singular purpose before? Soldiers, assassins, even some of the more damaged heroes? This is different, Alfred. Batman studies the footage more closely. Those individuals chose their purpose, even if trauma or conditioning influenced that choice. This thing, look at its movements. There's no hesitation, no second guessing, no moment where it reconsiders. It's not choosing to kill, it's just killing because that's what it is. Function without consciousness. Can it be reasoned with? Orion, the son of Darkseid, shakes his head. I tried. It doesn't speak, doesn't respond to communication. I don't think it can anymore. Whatever made it into this stripped away language, personality, everything except combat capability and rage. Batman is silent for a long moment, watching the Slayer tear through another hell dimension with perfect efficiency. Finally, we need the League. This is beyond Gotham's scope. 6 hours later, the Watchtower conference room holds an emergency session. Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, Cyborg, and Aquaman sit around the table. Batman stands at the head, holographic display showing Orion's footage. This, Batman begins without preamble, is the Doomslayer, dimensional refugee from a hell realm, currently operating on Apokolips under agreement with Darkseid. Threat assessment, critical. Superman leans forward, studying the footage of the Slayer fighting Orion. That armor, I'm seeing energy signatures similar to Kryptonian technology, but older. Much older. And the weapons, Bruce, are those plasma-based? Argent energy, Orion provides. It's similar to source energy, but corrupted, weaponized. Where source energy creates and sustains, argent energy destroys. Its power derived from suffering and death. Wonder Woman watches the Slayer's combat style with a warrior's eye. His movements lack artistry, but the efficiency is remarkable. Every motion serves the kill. No wasted energy, no flourishes. It's like watching violence distilled to its purest form. That's the problem. Batman brings up new footage. The Slayer in Darkseid's laboratory, ignoring offers of escape, focused only on killing. It's not a warrior. Warriors have discipline, honor, choice. This is something else. A weapon that's forgotten it was ever anything more. Flash speaks up, voice unusually serious. Okay, but if it's on Apokolips killing demons, isn't that good? I mean, fewer demons, fewer problems, right? No. Batman's voice is hard. Because Darkseid is studying it, learning how to create more like it. And when he does, when he has an army of beings with no free will, only programmed purpose, the implications settle over the room like a shroud. Cyborg pulls up additional data from the Watchtower's sensors. I've been monitoring dimensional readings around Apokolips since Orion arrived. The activity is off the charts. Multiple hell gates opening and closing, massive energy expenditures, and he pauses, fingers flying over holographic controls. Guys, I'm detecting similar energy signatures here. On Earth. Show me. Batman's voice carries an edge. The display shifts to show Earth, specifically a location in the Arctic. 3 days ago, a UAC research facility reported a containment breach. They were studying something they called argent energy, extracted from what they claimed was a stable hell portal. The portal destabilized, merged with some kind of boom tube network, and Cyborg's eyes widen. Oh no, Bruce, that's how the Slayer got to Apokolips. The UAC facility created the dimensional bridge. Superman's expression darkens. The UAC, Union Aerospace Corporation. I shut down 3 of their facilities last year for illegal weapons development. They're still operating? Different division, Batman's already pulling up files. UAC Mars facility. They've been operating in international space, technically beyond Earth jurisdiction. And according to these reports, they've been experimenting with dimensional rifts for years. Experimenting with hell, Wonder Woman's voice carries disgust. What possessed them to think that was wise? The same thing that always possesses corporations, profit. Aquaman studies the data. Argent energy could revolutionize power generation if weaponized. They didn't care about the risks. And now they've opened a door they can't close, Orion adds grimly. The Doomslayer came through that door by accident, but other things could follow. Demons, entities from that hell dimension, possibly worse. Green Lantern constructs a holographic model of the dimensional breach. Can we seal it? Unknown, Cyborg responds. The technology is beyond anything in our databases. It's not just advanced, it's alien in ways that suggest it wasn't meant for this reality. Batman makes a decision. We split into teams. Team 1, Superman, Wonder Woman, and I, investigate the UAC facility, assess the dimensional breach, and determine if it can be sealed. Team 2, Flash, Cyborg, and Aquaman, research argent energy, find out what we're dealing with. Orion, you return to Apokolips and monitor the Slayer. If Darkseid makes a move to weaponize what he's learned, I'll stop him. Orion's eyes burn with barely controlled fury, even if it means fighting my father directly. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. Superman stands, cape settling around his shoulders. How long do we have before Darkseid finishes his analysis? Days, Orion estimates. Maybe a week if we're lucky. The Slayer is currently occupied clearing his 7th demonic incursion. But once all the demons are eliminated, once Darkseid has no more use for him, he either kills the Slayer or tries to replicate him, Batman finishes. Neither option is acceptable. Wonder Woman touches the hilt of her sword. Can this Doomslayer be saved? Brought back from what he's become? The room falls silent. They all watch the footage. They all saw what the Slayer is. Orion speaks quietly. I don't know if there's anything left to save. When I fought him, when I looked into his eyes through his broken visor, I saw nothing. No soul, no person, no individual. Just purpose. Just function. If he was ever human, whoever that human was died a long time ago. Then we protect others from what he's become. Superman's voice carries determination, and we make sure Darkseid never gets the chance to create more like him. Agreed. Batman deactivates the holographic displays. We move in 12 hours. Alfred, prepare the Batwing for Arctic deployment. Cyborg, I need you to hack UAC's mainframe. Get me everything they have on the Argent Energy Project and the Dimensional Breach. Wonder Woman, contact the Justice League Dark. If we're dealing with hell dimensions, we need magical expertise. The League disperses to their tasks. Superman lingers behind with Batman. Bruce, I have to ask, if it comes down to it, if the Slayer becomes a threat to Earth, can we stop him? Batman is silent for a moment, reviewing combat footage in his mind. Honestly, I don't know. His armor is near indestructible. His weapons operate on principles that bypass conventional defenses, and his combat efficiency exceeds anything in our databases. In a straight fight, you might match him. Might, but he doesn't fight fair. He fights to kill immediately, without hesitation. And more concerning, he brings up a final clip, showing the Slayer walk through radiation that should have killed him, through neurotoxin that should have paralyzed him, through damage that should have stopped him. He's been fighting for so long that his body has adapted beyond normal limits. Pain doesn't slow him. Injury doesn't stop him. He just keeps going until everything else is dead. So if diplomacy fails, we don't fight him. Batman's voice is absolutely certain. We contain him, redirect him, or avoid him. Fighting him is a losing proposition. The only being who might actually stop him is Darkseid himself. And that's assuming Darkseid goes all out with Omega beams from the start. Comforting. Superman's tone is dry. It gets worse. Batman pulls up analysis from Orion's motherbox data. The Slayer's kill count in just the time he's been on Apokolips. Over 3,000 Parademons, 27 elite warriors, 4 Furies, Kalibak, crippled but not dead, and 7 entire hell dimensions worth of demons. Conservative estimate, 15,000 kills in 3 days. Superman's expression turns grim. That's not a warrior. That's a walking extinction event. Exactly. Which is why we need to make sure Earth never becomes his battlefield. Batman begins walking toward the hangar. And why we need to stop Darkseid before he creates an army of extinction events. On Apokolips in his throne room, Darkseid watches the Slayer emerge from the 9th hell dimension, covered in demon blood, armor sparking, but functionally intact. Darkseid's instruments record everything: energy expenditure, regeneration rates, combat adaptations. My lord, Darkseid's voice carries barely suppressed excitement. I believe I've isolated the core mechanism. The Slayer's consciousness has been completely subsumed by his purpose. Brain scans show almost no activity in regions associated with self-awareness, empathy, or higher reasoning. Everything has been redirected to threat assessment and elimination protocols. He's not choosing to kill, he's incapable of choosing anything else. Can it be replicated? Theoretically, yes. We would need subjects with sufficient baseline capability, enhanced biology, mental conditioning, trauma-induced neural restructuring. The process would be extensive. Years, possibly decades of conditioning and enhancement. But the end result would be a being with singular purpose, incapable of rebellion because rebellion requires choice. Darkseid's smile is terrible to behold. Begin preparations. I want prototype subjects selected within the week. Analyze the Slayer's conditioning process through whatever historical data we can extrapolate from his biology. And Darkseid? His eyes burn brighter. Make sure the Justice League doesn't interfere. I suspect Batman has already been informed of our visitor. Deploy countermeasures. As you command, my lord. Darkseid turns back to the screens, showing the Slayer preparing to enter the 10th Hellgate. Soon, he murmurs to the empty throne room, soon I'll have my army of perfect soldiers, beings who exist only to serve Apokolips, and the universe will learn that free will was always the flaw. Purpose is perfection. The Doomslayer steps through the 10th gate, unaware that he's become the template for Darkseid's vision of ultimate control, unaware that the Justice League is mobilizing against him, unaware of anything except the demons waiting on the other side. He sees demons. He kills demons. That's all he knows. That's all he'll ever know. And in the shadows between dimensions, something watches all of this unfold. Something older than Darkseid, older than the new gods themselves. Something that recognizes the Doomslayer for what he truly is. Not a weapon, not a tool, but a warning. A warning that when you strip away choice completely, when you reduce a being to pure function, you create something that cannot be controlled, only aimed, and aim can be disrupted. The UAC Mars facility is a monument to humanity's hubris, a sprawling complex built into the red planet's largest canyon, mixing cutting-edge technology with retrofitted alien artifacts they barely understand. Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman approach from orbit, the Javelin 7 cloaked against detection systems. Radiation levels are off the charts, Superman reports, his enhanced vision scanning the facility. Not nuclear, something else. And there are heat signatures down there that don't match human biology. Multiple contacts moving erratically. Demons! Wonder Woman's hand moves to her sword. They've breached containment and overrun the facility. Batman pulls up schematics hacked from UAC servers. The dimensional breach is in Sector 7, their advanced research division. According to internal logs, they successfully stabilized a hell portal 3 months ago and have been extracting Argent energy since. Then 72 hours ago, the portal merged with an unidentified dimensional tunnel, and someone or something passed through. The Doomslayer, Superman confirms, going the other direction. Correct, but the portal didn't close, and things have been coming through ever since. Batman marks locations on the holographic display. I'm reading 17 distinct breaches across the facility. The demons aren't just here. They're establishing territory. The Javelin lands on an auxiliary pad, and the three heroes disembark into Nightmare. The facility's corridors are painted in blood and claw marks. Bodies lie scattered. UAC personnel torn apart, some still wearing their research coats, others in security armor that did nothing to save them. Emergency lighting flickers red, klaxons wail uselessly, and from deeper in the complex, inhuman screaming echoes. Wonder Woman kneels beside a fallen security guard, closes his eyes with gentle respect. These people opened a door to hell itself. What did they expect would happen? They expected to control it. Batman examines a terminal, pulling data. The UAC has been working on this project for 6 years. Multiple facilities across the solar system, all researching dimensional energy extraction. They knew the risks. They proceeded anyway because Argent energy is the most powerful source ever discovered. One portal could power Earth for a century. At the cost of opening the gates to hell, Superman's jaw tightens. Where are the survivors? Minimal life signs in the central bunker, but most of the facility, Batman doesn't finish. He doesn't need to. An imp rounds the corner, four-legged, skeletal, dripping acid. It sees the heroes and shrieks, charging with claws extended. Wonder Woman's sword removes its head before it crosses half the distance. The body collapses, twitching. More incoming! Superman's super hearing picks up the sounds of claws on metal, wings beating, growls in registers that predate language. Dozens, maybe hundreds. We fight through to Sector 7, assess the breach, determine if it can be sealed. Batman pulls explosive gel from his belt. Stay tight, watch for ambush points, and remember, these aren't mindless animals. They're predators with millennia of experience hunting humans. The demons come in waves, imps leaping from ventilation shafts, hell soldiers firing plasma weapons, scavenged from dead security forces, cacodemons floating through corridors like grotesque balloons of teeth and malice. The Justice League's trinity cuts through them with practiced efficiency, Superman's heat vision, Wonder Woman's blade, Batman's tactical explosives working in concert. But for every demon they kill, more appear. The facility is infested. This is just the vanguard, Wonder Woman observes, bisecting a hell soldier. If this portal remains open, Earth itself will be invaded. Then we close it. Superman punches through a bulkhead, creating a shortcut toward Sector 7. How much farther? 200 meters. Batman throws a batarang that explodes mid-flight, releasing an EMP that shorts out a cluster of security drones that demons have somehow activated and turned against intruders. But Bruce, something's wrong. Look at the pattern. Superman pauses mid-flight, analyzing the demon movements. They're not attacking randomly. They're defending something, protecting the portal. Not protecting, Batman corrects, waiting. They're expecting something to come through. As if in response, the facility shakes. A sound like reality tearing echoes from Sector 7. Deep, resonant, terrible. The demons around them stop attacking and begin retreating, pulling back toward the portal. That's not good, Superman states unnecessarily. They push forward, fighting through the final corridor into Sector 7's main chamber. What they find defies easy description. The hell portal dominates the room. A 50-foot tear in reality suspended in a containment field that's barely holding. Through it, they can see another dimension. Rivers of fire, twisted architecture, skies that burn with colors that shouldn't exist. And surrounding the portal, dozens of demons kneel in something resembling worship. In front of the portal, something is emerging, something massive, a titan. Not a full manifestation. The portal isn't large enough, but a hand the size of a building pushes through, claws scraping reality itself. Behind it, a face peers through, horned, burning, ancient beyond measure. The demons chitter and shriek in what might be anticipation or terror or both. Containment field at 17%, Batman reads from a surviving terminal. When it fails, that thing gets through, Wonder Woman finishes, and Mars, possibly the entire solar system, falls to hell. Superman is already moving, heat vision lancing toward the Titan's hand. The beams impact demonic flesh that's tougher than neutronium, scorching but not severing. The Titan roars, a sound that makes the facility's walls crack and pushes harder against the portal. Containment at 12%. Batman, we need a plan. Wonder Woman is fighting through demons trying to protect their master. Blades singing through corrupted flesh. Working on it. Batman's fingers fly across the terminal, accessing UAC control systems, searching for anything that could help. His eyes narrow. The portal is stabilized by Argent energy extracted from hell itself. It's a feedback loop. The more energy they extract, the more stable the portal becomes. But if we reverse the flow, we destabilize it, Superman catches on. Send the energy back through. Collapse the portal from our side. It'll create a catastrophic energy discharge. Everyone in the facility dies. Everyone in the facility is already dead. Wonder Woman's voice is hard. Do it. Batman hesitates for exactly 1 second, calculating casualties, running probability scenarios, searching for alternatives. Then his fingers execute the command sequence. Reversing Argent flow, we have 90 seconds to evacuate before critical mass. The demons sense the change immediately. They abandon their worship and turn on the heroes with desperate fury. This is their chance at invasion, their opportunity to bring hell to another reality, and it's being stolen from them. Superman grabs Batman and Wonder Woman, flying toward the exit at supersonic speed. Behind them, the Argent energy generators begin overloading, pumping extracted power back into the hell dimension. The portal starts collapsing, the Titan's hand being pulled back through, its roar of frustration shaking Mars itself. They clear the facility with 15 seconds to spare. The explosion is visible from Earth, a green flash on Mars's surface that astronomers will spend years trying to explain. The UAC facility, the demons, the hell portal, and the emerging Titan all vanish in a surge of Argent energy, returning to its source dimension. In the silence that follows, Superman sets his passengers down on a rocky outcrop 3 miles from the blast zone. They watch the mushroom cloud of green fire slowly dissipate. "One portal closed," Batman says quietly. "How many more are out there?" On Apokolips, the Doomslayer feels it. Not consciously, he's beyond conscious thought in any meaningful sense. But some deep part of him, some fragment of whoever he was before hell broke and remade him, registers the Mars portal's destruction. Home. That was the portal home. The door back to his hell, his war, his purpose. And it just closed. He stands in the 11th hell dimension, surrounded by demon corpses, crucible blades still burning. And for the first time since arriving on Apokolips, he stops moving. Darkseid watches through monitoring equipment, instruments clicking frantically. Unusual. The Slayer has halted mid-operation, brain activity spiking in previously dormant regions. Is it possible he's thinking? Actually processing information beyond immediate threat assessment? Darkseid leans forward on his throne. The portal to his home dimension just collapsed. He felt it. Some part of him understood what that means, which is that he's trapped here, permanently. Darkseid's eyes gleam with dark satisfaction. He's been operating under the assumption that eventually he would return to his war. Now he knows he won't. Let's see how he responds to true hopelessness. The Slayer stands motionless for 17 seconds. His HUD flashes notifications about remaining demons in this dimension, about objectives incomplete, about the mission. But somewhere beneath the programming, beneath the conditioning, beneath the eons of rage, a thought forms. Trapped, no way home, no return to the eternal war. Just here. The crucible blade burns brighter, not with rage, with something else, something that predates his transformation, something from before hell stripped away his humanity. Despair. For one moment, just one, the Doomslayer feels something other than the need to kill. He feels loss, genuine, crushing loss. the war he's been fighting for eons, the purpose that sustained him through infinite torment, the mission that gave meaning to existence. It's gone, unreachable. He's stranded in a dimension that isn't his hell, killing demons that aren't his demons, serving a purpose that isn't his purpose. Darkseid's instruments record it all. Remarkable. We're seeing emotion, actual emotional response beyond aggression. My lord, if the Slayer can feel despair, then perhaps he can feel other things. Perhaps he's not as thoroughly conditioned as we thought. Perhaps there's still someone inside the weapon. Then we'll have to finish. What hell started? Darkseid rises from his throne. If there's still a person in there, still some fragment of will, then he's a liability. I need pure function, not damaged consciousness. It's time to break what's left of him and rebuild him properly. He activates a boom tube. I'll handle this personally. Prepare your conditioning equipment, Darkseid. When I'm done breaking his body, you'll remake his mind. And this time, there will be nothing left except perfect obedience to Apokolips. In the Hell dimension, the Doomslayer snaps back to function. The moment of despair passes, buried under layers of conditioning that immediately reassert themselves. Demons. Kill demons. That's the mission. That's all there is. He turns back toward the remaining demons in this dimension and resumes killing. But the seed has been planted. For 17 seconds, he felt something other than rage. And once you remember that other emotions exist, once you know there's something beyond the programming, that knowledge cannot be unlearned. Darkseid's boom tube opens behind him, crimson red and omega charged. The Lord of Apokolips steps through, 9 feet of divine tyranny, eyes burning with omega energy. Doomslayer, his voice is earthquake and avalanche. Your usefulness has concluded. You've served your purpose, eliminated the demonic infestations, provided valuable research data, demonstrated the viability of purpose without will. But you've also shown vulnerability, weakness, the capacity to feel loss, and weakness cannot exist in what I plan to create. The Slayer turns, crucible blade raised, facing the being who embodies everything he's been fighting against for eons. Not demons, but something worse. Tyranny given form, oppression made systematic, the end of choice and hope and freedom. For the first time since arriving on Apokolips, the Doomslayer faces an enemy that truly deserves his rage. Darkseid smiles. Come then, hell-touched warrior. Show me if your infinite violence can overcome my Omega. Prove to me whether you're the beginning of my new army or simply another failed experiment. The crucible blade burns brighter than it ever has. Not with Argent energy alone, with something else. Something that hell tried to burn away, but couldn't quite destroy. Defiance. The Doomslayer charges at a god, and the hell dimension itself holds its breath. The Doomslayer has killed gods before. The icon of sin, the gladiator, the con maker. Entities that commanded armies, reshaped reality, claimed dominion over existence itself. He killed them because they stood between him and demons. Because they were demons in function, if not form. Darkseid is different. Darkseid doesn't just command power, he is power. The Omega, the end of all things, the inevitable conclusion to every story. When he moves, reality bends to accommodate him. When he speaks, the universe listens. And when his eyes burn red with Omega energy, even gods reconsider their defiance. The Doomslayer doesn't reconsider anything. He just attacks. The crucible blade screams toward Darkseid's throat, Argent energy blazing, moving faster than most beings can track. It's a killing stroke that has ended demon lords, that has carved through supernatural flesh designed to be indestructible. Darkseid catches the blade one-handed. His stone fingers close around the energy weapon. Omega energy meeting Argent energy in a clash that makes the hell dimension sky crack. The crucible, unbreakable, unstoppable, the blade that cuts through anything, stops. Impressive weapon, Darkseid observes with clinical detachment. Argent energy crystallized in given form. It operates on principles similar to the source, but inverted. Where source creates, this destroys. Elegant. He twists his wrist, and the crucible's blade shatters. The Doomslayer doesn't pause to process the loss of his most powerful weapon, doesn't feel shock or dismay, just switches tactics immediately. BFG 9000 appears in his hands, already charged, already firing. The green plasma ball crosses the space between them in a fraction of a second. Darkseid doesn't dodge. He lets it hit him center mass, lets the Argent energy explode across his form, lets the weapon designed to kill anything attempt to unmake him. The Omega energy in his body simply consumes it, absorbs it, nullifies it completely. Ineffective, Darkseid walks forward through the dissipating plasma. Your weapons function by imposing death on their targets. But I am Darkseid. I am death. You cannot kill what death fears. The Slayer empties the BFG's entire charge into Darkseid's advancing form. 9 shots, each one capable of obliterating squads of demons, each one carrying enough Argent energy to vaporize buildings. Darkseid walks through them like rain. He reaches the Slayer and backhands him with casual contempt. The impact sends the Slayer flying 300 feet through the Hell Dimension's twisted architecture. He crashes through a bone tower, through a lake of fire, through structures that have stood for eons. The Praetor suit's shields collapse completely. Structural integrity warnings flood his HUD. Internal injuries register, broken ribs, ruptured organs, spinal damage. He gets back up, because that's what he does, that's all he does. Pain is just information, injury is temporary. The mission continues until he's completely destroyed. Darkseid watches with interest. Remarkable durability. Lesser beings would be dead from that strike. You absorbed it and rose. Your conditioning is more thorough than I estimated. He begins walking toward the Slayer again, unhurried, inevitable. But conditioning has limits. Every program can be broken. Every purpose can be shattered. Let me show you. His eyes flare red. Omega beams lance out, not aimed at the Slayer's body, but at his essence, at the fundamental reality of his existence. The Slayer dodges, Spartan reflexes and eons of combat experience screaming warnings. The Omega beams miss by inches, and where they impact, reality simply ceases. No explosion, no destruction, just cessation. Matter, energy, concept, all erased from existence. That's what Omega means. The end. The final letter. The point where all things stop. The Doomslayer switches weapons rapidly. Ballista, rocket launcher, plasma rifle, firing everything he has. Darkseid walks through the barrage. Omega beams firing intermittently, each shot forcing the Slayer to move or cease existing. You cannot win this, Darkseid states factually. You know this. Some part of you, however buried, understands that you're facing something beyond your capacity to destroy. Yet you continue fighting. Why? The Slayer doesn't answer, can't answer, just keeps attacking, because attacking is what he is. Ah, of course. Darkseid's smile is terrible understanding. You can't choose to surrender, can't choose to flee, can't choose anything except to fight until you're destroyed. Perfect conditioning creates perfect slavery. You're not a warrior, you're a program running on meat. And I'm about to show you what happens when that program encounters a force it cannot overcome. Darkseid's next move isn't a strike, it's worse. He activates the anti-life equation. Not the full version, he still hasn't found that, but a fragment, a shard of mathematical proof that free will is meaningless. The equation emanates from him in waves of despair and inevitability. Loneliness plus alienation, plus fear plus despair, plus self-worth divided by mockery, divided by condemnation, divided by misunderstanding, times guilt, times shame, times failure, times judgment, in and equals y, where y equals hope and n equals folly, love equals lies, life equals death, self equals dark side. The hell dimension itself recoils from the equation. Demons flee, screaming. Reality buckles under the weight of weaponized nihilism. In the Doomslayer, stops. Not because the equation affects him, there's barely enough consciousness left for it to grip, but because the fragment of anti-life resonates with something deep in his shattered psyche. The part of him that hell broke, the part that lost everything, name, identity, humanity, hope, and was rebuilt as a weapon. The equation recognizes him because he's already living proof of it. He has no free will, no choice, no meaning beyond his program function. He's anti-life made flesh, created not by mathematics but by infinite torment. Darkseid sees the recognition and his eyes narrow. You understand. Somewhere in that broken mind, you know what you are. Not a hero, not even a person. Just function, just purpose, just endless, meaningless violence. You are what I seek to create, a being without choice. And if you already exist, then I don't need to make you. I just need to study you. He reaches out, Omega energy coalescing around his hand, preparing to capture rather than kill. Come, Darkseid's laboratory waits. We'll dissect what you are, learn how to replicate it, and a golden boom tube erupts between them. Orion crashes through, Astro Force rod blazing, followed immediately by Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman in powered armor. The Justice League has arrived. Father! Orion's voice is thunder and fury. I won't let you do this. I won't let you turn beings into weapons. Darkseid's expression shifts to annoyance. Orion, always interfering, always choosing the weak over the strong, and you brought Earth's champions. His Omega beams track toward Superman. Disappointing. Superman moves faster than light, grabbing the Doomslayer and flying him clear of Darkseid's reach. Wonder Woman and Batman engage with weapons designed to disrupt Omega energy. Nth metal blades and tech scavenge from New Genesis. Orion faces his father directly, Astro Force against Omega beams. Go! Superman shouts at the Slayer. The portal behind us leads to New Genesis. You can... The Slayer doesn't run, doesn't retreat. He tears free from Superman's grip with strength that surprises even the Kryptonian and charges back toward Darkseid. Because that's what he does, that's all he does. Batman sees it and understands immediately. He can't flee. He's physically incapable of choosing retreat. Then we make the choice for him. Wonder Woman's lasso of truth wraps around the Slayer's waist. I'm sorry, warrior, but we're saving you whether you want it or not. The lasso glows golden, and for one impossible moment, the Slayer feels the truth it imposes. You are more than a weapon. You were human once. You can be human again. The programming screams in rejection. The conditioning fights back. Eons of mental restructuring resist the lasso's influence. But Wonder Woman is a demigod, wielding an artifact of the gods themselves, and the lasso doesn't lie. Deep in the Doomslayer's shattered mind, something stirs. A memory. A face he doesn't recognize. A voice saying a name he's forgotten was his. A life before hell. A person before the weapon. Pain. Not physical pain. Psychic pain. The agony of remembering what was lost. Of knowing he was something else before infinite torment reduced him to this. He roars. The first vocal sound he's made since arriving on Apokolips. Not words, just inarticulate rage and grief combined. Now! Batman throws a device at the Slayer's feet. A boom tube generator. Emergency extraction. The portal opens beneath him, and gravity takes over. The Doomslayer falls through, still struggling against the lasso, still trying to get back to the fight. The last thing he sees before the portal closes is Darkseid's face, watching him escape with expression of cold calculation. Interesting, the Lord of Apokolips murmurs. The lasso of truth showed him what he was, and the pain nearly destroyed what's left of his mind. Perhaps he's not as thoroughly conditioned as I thought. Perhaps there's still work to be done. You won't get another chance. Orion channels the full power of the Astroforce rod, energy building to critical levels. I'll kill you myself before I let you create an army of broken soldiers. You won't kill me, my son. You never do. Darkseid's Omega beams fire. Because you still hope I can be redeemed. That hope is your weakness, just as the Slayer's inability to hope is his. The battle between father and son intensifies, the hell dimension tearing apart around them. Superman and Wonder Woman fight demons pouring through dimensional rifts. Batman coordinates the retreat, ensuring everyone gets back through the boom tube to New Genesis. In the chaos, no one notices the small device Darkseid planted on the Slayer before he escaped. A mother box fragment modified by Darkseid, designed to track dimensional signatures. Wherever the Slayer goes, Apokolips will know. The hunt isn't over. It's just beginning. The Doomslayer emerges from the boom tube onto New Genesis, crashes into the crystalline platform, and immediately tries to stand, to fight, to continue the mission. Highfather is waiting, staff raised, and he speaks with voice that carries absolute authority. Rest, warrior. By the power of the source I command you. Rest. The Slayer's body locks up. Not from the command itself. His conditioning is too thorough for simple orders. But from exhaustion finally catching up to a physiology pushed beyond even its augmented limits. 3 days of constant warfare, multiple dimensions, thousands of demons, battles against new gods, and finally Darkseid himself. Even the Doomslayer has limits. He collapses, unconscious for the first time in eons. Highfather looks down at the broken warrior with expression of profound sadness. What was done to you, child? What hell reduced you to this? Can he be saved? Orion asks, emerging from the boom tube bloodied but alive. Can he be given back what was taken? I don't know, Highfather admits. The lasso showed him truth, that he was human once, that he could be again. But such knowledge may be crueler than ignorance. To remember what you lost, to know what you could have been, while being trapped in what you became. He shakes his head. That may break him more thoroughly than any torture. Superman lands beside them, cape torn, bleeding from a dozen wounds. Darkseid planted a tracker on him. I can see it with my X-ray vision, embedded in his armor systems. Then Darkseid will find him wherever he goes, Wonder Woman concludes. Not if we remove it. Batman's already moving toward the unconscious Slayer, with tools designed to interface with alien technology. And not if we give him something Darkseid can't track. What do you propose? Highfather asks. A choice. Batman looks at the Slayer's face, visible through the shattered visor, seeing the scarred features of someone who's forgotten what choice even means. We wake him up, we explain what happened, and we give him the one thing Hell and Darkseid both tried to take away, the ability to decide what happens next. He can't choose, Orion protests. You saw him. He's incapable of... He roared, Batman interrupts. When the lasso showed him truth, when he remembered being human, he made a sound. Vocalization, communication, response. That's choice, however primitive. That's the first step back. Highfather studies the broken warrior, then nods slowly. Then we try. But understand, what we're attempting may be impossible. Hell spent eons conditioning him. Darkseid has been studying him. The damage may be irreversible. Maybe, Superman agrees, but we have to try. Because if we don't, if we just let him continue as he is, then Darkseid wins. He gets proof that beings can be reduced to pure function, that free will can be completely destroyed, and everything the Justice League stands for becomes meaningless. The Slayer sleeps, wrapped in nightmare memories of hell and demons and endless war. And for the first time since his transformation, something other than rage waits in those nightmares. Hope, terrible, painful, agonizing hope that perhaps he could be something more than a weapon, if he survives remembering how. The Doomslayer wakes to silence. That's wrong. There should be screaming, demons, damned souls, the ambient shriek of hell itself. There should be combat music pounding through his HUD, enemy indicators flashing, ammunition counters updating. There should be targets. Instead, silence, soft light, the absence of threat. His hand reaches instinctively for the super shotgun. It's not there. His weapons are gone. All of them. The Praetor suit remains, but the arsenal that defined his existence has been removed while he slept. Panic would be appropriate, should be appropriate, but he's forgotten how to panic, forgotten how to feel anything except combat readiness or the brief satisfaction of a kill. So there's just emptiness, a void where emotions should be. He sits up on the crystalline platform where he's been laid, taking in his surroundings with tactical assessment. New Genesis. He remembers arriving here, remembers collapsing. The details are fragmented. Fighting Darkseid, the Justice League intervening, Wonder Woman's lasso showing him something that hurt in ways hell never managed. Highfather sits nearby, staff resting across his lap, ancient eyes watching with patient understanding. Welcome back, warrior. You've slept for 12 hours. Your body needed rest, even if your mind has forgotten how. The Slayer's response is instinctive. He stands, scans for exits, assesses threat levels. Highfather reads as powerful but non-hostile. No demons present, no immediate danger. Therefore, what? What does he do when there's nothing to kill? The question breaks something in his programming. His HUD flickers, error messages cascading, because his operational parameters don't include peaceful scenarios. He exists to fight. If there's no fight, he doesn't know how to exist. Highfather sees the confusion and speaks gently. Your weapons are safe. We haven't destroyed them, but we removed them while you recovered because we needed you to hear something without defaulting to violence. Can you do that? Can you listen? The Slayer doesn't know if he can. Listening implies choice, implies the capacity to decide what to do with information. He's not sure he has that anymore, but he doesn't attack, doesn't try to leave, doesn't do anything except stand there, broken and uncertain. Good. Highfather rises, leaning on his staff. That restraint, small as it is, proves something remains beneath the conditioning. Now I'm going to tell you 3 truths. You won't want to hear them. They will hurt, but you need to know them. He gestures and holographic displays materialize around them. Images pulled from the Slayer's own armor diagnostics, memory fragments, neural scans. Truth 1. You were human once. Your name was... Highfather pauses, consulting data. The records are corrupted, but fragments suggest Flynn Taggart, or possibly John Kane. You were a soldier, a Marine. You had a life before hell. The Slayer's fists clench. He doesn't want to know this. Doesn't want to remember being weak, being mortal, being someone who could be broken. Truth 2. Hell didn't just torture you. It performed systematic psychological reconstruction, trauma-induced neural pathway restructuring, Argent energy enhancement coupled with sentinel blessing. They took a human soldier and spent eons, literal eons, Time moves differently in hell, breaking and rebuilding you until nothing remained except the capacity for violence. The holographic displays show brain scans comparing a normal human baseline to the Slayer's current neural structure. Entire sections dedicated to empathy, self-awareness, and higher reasoning are dark, atrophied, redirected to threat assessment and combat protocols. Truth 3. What was done to you wasn't an accident. It was intentional, systematic. Someone in hell, we believe an entity called the Seraphim, decided to create the perfect demon killer by destroying everything human about you and replacing it with purpose. You're not a warrior who fights demons. You're a weapon made from a human to kill demons. There's a difference. The Slayer doesn't want to hear this, doesn't want to know he was made, constructed, programmed like the Praetor suit's targeting systems. It's easier to believe he's always been this, that there was never anything else. Highfather's expression carries infinite sadness. And now you face the cruelest question. Knowing what you are, knowing what was taken from you, do you want to change? Or do you choose to remain the weapon hell made you? The word choose hits like an omega beam. Choose. The capacity to decide. The ability to say yes or no, to select between options, to exercise will. He hasn't chosen anything and he can't remember. Every action has been programmed response, conditioned reflex, automatic execution of mission parameters. Can he even choose anymore? Is that capacity still there, buried under the conditioning, or did hell burn it away completely? Batman steps out from behind a crystalline pillar, having been listening the entire time. The lasso of truth showed you something. Do you remember what? The Slayer remembers. Remembers seeing himself as human. Remembers a life before endless war. Remembers someone. A woman's face. Her name is gone, burned away, but the memory of caring about her remains. That's what hurt, not the physical pain of hell's torment, but the psychic agony of remembering he once loved something besides killing. You don't have to answer, Batman continues, approaching slowly, carefully, treating the Slayer like the dangerous weapon he is. But I'll tell you what we found when we analyzed your armor systems. Darkseid planted a tracker. He's hunting you. If you go back to fighting demons, if you continue as you are, you'll be leading him straight to every hell dimension in the multiverse, and he'll study each one, learn how to create more weapons like you, build an army of beings without choice. That penetrates. The mission, kill demons, suddenly has complications. If killing demons helps Darkseid, if it serves tyranny, then the mission itself is corrupted. But if he doesn't kill demons, what is he? What's left when you take the purpose away from something that exists only for purpose? Superman enters the chamber, followed by Wonder Woman and Orion, the heroes who saved him from Darkseid, who dragged him away from a fight he couldn't win. He should feel gratitude, should feel something. There's just the void where emotions should be. We removed Darkseid's tracker, Superman says. He can't find you anymore. You're free to go anywhere, do anything. But before you decide, he pulls up more holographic displays showing Earth. There are demons on my world, breaking through from hell dimensions, attacking people who can't defend themselves. The UAC isn't the only organization experimenting with portals. And with you gone from hell, with the Slayer missing, the demons are getting bolder. It's a trap. The Slayer recognizes it immediately. They're offering him what he wants, demons to kill, while pretending it's his choice. The mission continues, just with different handlers. Hell controlled him, then Darkseid, now the Justice League. No! Batman's voice cuts through the manipulation. Superman, stop! He needs to understand this is actually his choice, not another mission we're assigning. He turns to the Slayer. You can fight Earth's demons if you want, or you can walk away. Find a quiet planet somewhere and never kill again. Try to remember how to be human, or stay here on New Genesis and let Highfather attempt to repair what Hell destroyed. All of those are valid choices. None of them are wrong. But, Wonder Woman adds firmly, if you choose to fight, it will be because you decided to, not because Hell programmed you, not because Darkseid used you, not because we asked you to, because you chose it. That's the difference between a warrior and a weapon. The Slayer stands silently processing this concept. Choice, the freedom to decide, the ability to say no to the mission. His programming screams in rejection. The conditioning fights back. Eons of mental restructuring demand he find demons and kill them, immediately without question or hesitation. But underneath, in the deepest parts of his shattered psyche, something else whispers, what if you don't have to? What if he could stop? What if he could remember being human? What if there's more to existence than endless violence? The temptation is agony, because hope, real hope, is more painful than any torture Hell devised. Hope means acknowledging what was lost. Hope means facing the possibility of failure. Hope means being vulnerable again. Easier to just kill. Safer to stay the weapon. The weapon doesn't hurt. The weapon doesn't hope. The weapon just functions. Highfather watches the internal struggle play out across the Slayer's scarred face and speaks again, voice carrying weight of ages. I've seen beings broken by darkness before. Some can be repaired. Some are too damaged, but all deserve the chance to try. If you want, I can attempt to restore what Hell took. It will take years, maybe decades. It may not work, but the option exists. Or, Orion adds, you can do what I do. Channel the rage. Use the violence, but in service of something other than conditioning. I carry my father's fury in my blood, but I choose to aim it at protecting others. You could do the same. Be the warrior, not the weapon. Or, Batman concludes, you walk away. Find peace if it's even possible. No one will judge you for choosing survival over heroism. The silence stretches. The Slayer's hands open and close, armored gauntlets flexing, as if searching for weapons that aren't there. His HUD displays no targets, no objectives, no mission parameters. Just choice. For the first time in eons, the Doomslayer must decide what he is beyond the programming. The decision takes 17 minutes, the longest 17 minutes of his existence since Hell broke him. His internal systems flag it as an error. Decision loops shouldn't take this long. Threat assessment is instantaneous. Combat responses are automatic. But this isn't combat. This is something infinitely harder. Finally, he moves. He walks to the edge of the platform and looks down at New Genesis spreading below. A world of light and beauty, the antithesis of Hell's corruption. People live there, not to suffer, not to die, just to live. He's forgotten what that means. When he speaks, his voice is broken, barely functional from eons of disuse. Each word torn from a throat that screamed, but not spoken in longer than memory. Show me. 3 words. The first words he's spoken since becoming the weapon. The first time he's asked for something instead of just taking it through violence. Highfather's smile carries profound relief. Show you what, warrior? The Slayer turns, and in his eyes, dead empty eyes that have seen infinite horror, something flickers. Not hope, not yet, but possibility. Show me how to be human again. The words are agony to speak. Every syllable fights against conditioning that screams he's betraying the mission, abandoning the purpose, choosing weakness over strength. But he forces them out anyway. Because for the first time in eons, the Doomslayer makes a choice that's actually his. Epilogue. On Apokolips, Darkseid watches through the recovered tracker signal as the Slayer begins the impossible process of rehabilitation. Highfather works with New Genesis's finest healers. Batman provides psychological protocols. Superman offers hope through his own example of impossible standards. Wonder Woman teaches that strength can serve peace as well as war. It will take years, maybe decades. The damage is so profound that full recovery may be impossible. But they try. Darkseid stands beside his master's throne. My lord, the Slayer has chosen to abandon his purpose. He's attempting to become human again. Your research opportunity is improved, Darkseid interrupts. Don't you see? This is better than studying a weapon. This is studying the transition from weapon to person. If I understand how to reverse the process, I understand the process itself completely. And once I understand it, his smile is terrible calculation. I can create weapons that can't be reversed, beings broken so thoroughly that even truth itself can't reach them. But the Justice League will protect him. Let them. Darkseid settles back on his throne. Time is infinite. I am patient. And the Slayer has given me something more valuable than his servitude. Proof that purpose can consume will, that function can replace choice, that beings can be reduced to algorithm. The anti-life equation is closer than ever, not as mathematics, but as methodology. He waves a hand dismissively. Let the weapon play at being human. Let him hope. Let him try to remember what was lost. When he fails, and he will fail because some damage cannot be undone, he'll realize that the only peace is in the mission, and he'll return to killing demons because it's all he knows. And if he succeeds, if he becomes human again, Darkseid's eyes burn with Omega energy. Then I'll break him again, more thoroughly, more permanently, and he'll prove that even successful rehabilitation can be undone. Either outcome serves my purpose. On New Genesis, the Doomslayer doesn't know he's still being used, doesn't know that even choosing humanity plays into Darkseid's larger game. He only knows that today, for the first time in eons, he didn't kill anything, and it feels wrong, empty. The void where combat should be is excruciating, but he endures it, because humans endure, because that's what choice means. Suffering through the difficulty of alternatives instead of defaulting to the easy programming. Highfather sits with him in the silence. The urge to kill won't go away quickly, maybe never, but you can learn to choose when to act on it and when to resist. That's what free will is, not the absence of programming, but the ability to choose something different. The Slayer nods, barely. It's not acceptance. It's not understanding. It's just acknowledgement. One day at a time, one choice at a time, one step away from the weapon and toward the human. It will be the hardest fight he's ever faced, harder than hell, harder than Darkseid, harder than any demon or god or monster, because this time the enemy is himself, the conditioning, the purpose, the mission that defined him for eons. And you can't kill your way out of this fight. 6 months pass on New Genesis, though time flows differently in the realm of the gods. For the Doomslayer, who has begun hesitantly to remember fragments of the name Flynn, each day is a battle against programming that screams for blood and purpose. The mornings are worst. He wakes reaching for weapons that aren't there. HUD automatically scanning for threats that don't exist. Highfather's healers have taught him meditation techniques, grounding exercises, ways to interrupt the combat protocols before they fully activate. They work sometimes. Other times, Flynn finds himself in New Genesis's training grounds, tearing apart practice dummies with his bare hands until the rage subsides enough to think. Progress isn't linear, Batman tells him during one of his regular visits from Earth. The Dark Knight has taken particular interest in the rehabilitation, seeing parallels to his own struggles with darkness. Some days you'll feel almost human. Others, you'll be right back where hell left you. That's normal. That's recovery. Flynn, because he's trying to think of himself that way now, trying to remember he had a name before he became the Slayer, nods without speaking. Words are still difficult. The neural pathways for communication atrophied so thoroughly that each sentence requires conscious effort, like learning language again from scratch. Superman visits too, bringing stories from Earth about demons repelled without the Slayer's intervention. The Justice League has been handling the incursions, sealing portals, protecting civilians. We're managing, Clark says with his characteristic optimism. You don't have to carry this alone anymore. But Flynn knows the truth. Earth's demons are small fry compared to Hell's true horrors. The League handles possessed humans, minor imps, scattered incursions. If something serious comes through, a demon lord, a titan, a full-scale invasion, they'll need him, need the Slayer. And that knowledge is both comfort and curse. Comfort because it means he still has purpose. Curse because it means the mission never truly ends. Wonder Woman understands this better than the others. During her visits, she talks about the warrior's burden. We train to fight, to protect, to end threats. But we must also learn when not to fight, when to put down the sword and simply be. That's the harder lesson, the one that takes a lifetime to learn. Flynn listens, tries to absorb the wisdom, tries to believe that he could ever be something other than violence incarnate. Some days he almost succeeds. On New Genesis, he's learned small things. How to eat slowly instead of consuming nutrition packs between combat. How to sleep without nightmares of hell, most nights at least. How to walk without automatically mapping tactical positions and sight lines. How to exist in a moment without constantly preparing for the next threat. It's exhausting in ways hell never was. At least in hell, the mission was clear. Kill demons, forever. Simple, pure. This, recovery, rehabilitation, remembering humanity, is infinitely more complex. There are no clear objectives, no HUD markers showing progress, no glory kills to indicate success. Just the slow, agonizing process of rebuilding a person from the fragments of a weapon. Orion visits often, seeing in Flynn a mirror of his own struggle against inherited rage. My father's fury lives in my blood, he admits during one session. Every day I choose not to become him. Every day the choice is difficult, but it gets easier, fractionally. Over centuries, it gets easier. Centuries, Flynn manages to rasp out, don't have centuries. You might, Orion counters, your enhancements, the Argent energy exposure, the Sentinel blessing. High Father believes you're functionally immortal. You have time, use it. The thought of eternity spent like this, fighting the mission, resisting the conditioning, struggling to be human, is almost enough to make Flynn choose the weapon again. Almost. But he doesn't. Because buried in the deepest fragments of his shattered memory, there's a reason he became a Marine in the first place. Reason he fought demons even before hell broke him. Something about protecting people, about standing between the innocent and the darkness. The weapon killed because it was programmed to kill. The man, if Flynn can become a man again, would choose to protect, and that difference, however small, matters. On Earth, deep beneath the ruins of the UAC Mars facility, something stirs. The portal explosion didn't destroy everything. Some fragments remain, some doorways still crack open. And through those cracks, demons whisper. They speak of the Slayer's absence, of Hell's greatest enemy gone silent, of opportunities emerging. The invasion that Flynn prevented for eons is being planned again. not through single portals, but through 1,000 simultaneous breaches. An assault so massive that even the Justice League couldn't stop it. They're coming for Earth, not because Earth matters particularly in the cosmic scale, but because the Slayer cares about it now. And hurting what he protects is the sweetest revenge hell can conceive. The invasion won't come for months, maybe years, but it's inevitable as sunrise, as certain as Darkseid's hunger for the anti-life equation. And when it does, Flynn Taggart, former Marine, current weapon trying to be human, eternal demon slayer, will face his hardest choice yet. Return to being the weapon, abandon his recovered humanity, and save Earth through infinite violence. Or stay human, stay broken, stay healing, and watch the world burn because the Doomslayer wasn't there to stop it. For now, though, Flynn sits in New Genesis's gardens with Highfather, watching alien flowers bloom under impossible light. He's learning to appreciate beauty without analyzing it tactically, learning to exist without purpose beyond existence itself. It's the hardest thing he's ever done, harder than fighting the icon of sin, harder than surviving hell's eons, harder than facing Darkseid himself, because this fight has no clear victory condition, no final boss to kill, no mission completion screen, just the endless, difficult choice to be something more than the weapon hell made him. Some days he chooses humanity, other days the conditioning wins, and he spends hours in the training grounds, destroying targets with his bare hands, remembering what he was. But every day he makes the choice, human or weapon, person or program, Flynn or Slayer, is a day he proves free will exists. Even in the broken, even in the damned, even in those whom hell itself tried to reduce to pure function. And that proof, more than any kill count or combat efficiency, terrifies Darkseid. Because if the Doomslayer can choose to be human again, if he can reclaim will from conditioning, then the anti-life equation is wrong. Then purpose cannot completely consume choice. Then tyranny cannot be absolute. The war between infinite rage and eternal tyranny hasn't ended. It's just changed battlefields. From Apokolips's fire pits to the quiet gardens of New Genesis, from demon hordes to internal struggles, from external violence to the hardest fight of all, choosing every single day to be more than what hell made you. Flynn Taggart doesn't know if he'll win this war, doesn't know if full recovery is possible, doesn't know what happens when Earth's demons come calling and the mission demands the Slayer's return. But for now, in this moment, sitting in peaceful silence, he's not killing anything. And that's enough. One day at a time, one choice at a time, one step toward being human. Even if it takes eternity, even if he fails, the trying, the choosing to try is what matters. And somewhere in hell, demons whisper fearfully, because they face the Slayer at his most violent. They've learned what unstoppable rage can accomplish. But they've never faced something truly terrifying. The Doomslayer choosing mercy, choosing restraint, choosing humanity. That's the weapon they can't fight, the force they can't overcome, the choice to rip and tear until it is done, or the choice to stop and heal instead. And Flynn Taggart, for the first time in eons, holds that choice in his scarred hands. Whatever he decides will reshape the multiverse, will determine whether beings can be reduced to pure function or whether free will always finds a way back. The war isn't over, it's just beginning. But this time, the Doomslayer fights as a warrior, not a weapon, and that makes all the difference.